Everybody, if you want to get your seats, we'll get started. Bell works.
I just got my way.
You did. All right, horsemen, good morning. On behalf of the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2025 Meet the Candidates event. So we welcome many in attendance, also those viewing on the Zoom link. I'm Danny Rodriguez, and I'd like to give you a brief outline at today's event. The format of today's meeting will consist of the following. Each candidate will be allotted a set time for the brief introduction and their platform agenda. Owners and trainers are going to be allowed 2 minutes, with the presidential candidates getting 3 minutes, and we ask all candidates be mindful of the time through their process. We're going to start with the owner candidates, then trainers, then finally our presidential candidates. This part of the introductions is going to be uninterrupted, giving all the candidates the opportunity to get their messages out to our membership. A few candidates cannot be here today, and we have a recorded message for them. After all candidates have the opportunity to introduce themselves, we'll do a question and answer period remaining the following 2 hours. At 2 p.m., the meeting will end. Questions are going to come from the floor, in which our moderator for today's event will acknowledge those who want to ask the questions. You're going to have 1 minute to ask your question, and the candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. For example, an owner candidate cannot ask another owner we're going to have candidates in the same category not ask each other questions. For example, an owner candidate cannot ask another owner candidate a question, but an owner candidate can ask a trainer candidate or a presidential candidate a question, and so on. I'd like to now introduce Mr. J.J. Pearson for today's event. He's a professional neutral and arbitrator, and I turn the microphone over to him. Welcome, Mr. Pearson.
Good morning. I'm very impressed by the number of individuals who are here today, but it demonstrates the importance of your vote. And the knowledge of the candidates is equally as important. So I only ask for that you respect the individuals who are speaking, let them complete their statements, listen intently, and finally, if you have questions, please write them down so at the conclusion of our meeting here this morning, you can get up and ask them whatever you feel appropriate. That's my comment. We are beginning with the owner-director candidates, and we now begin with Jack Armstrong. Okay.
Hi, this is Jack Armstrong. I'm running as for owner-director. Sorry I couldn't be there. Previous trip planned, so couldn't be there. They're saying I get 2 minutes here, so I have a lot to say. I won't make it all in the 2 minutes, but feel free to hit me up, Facebook. Jeff Manny has my contact info, phone, email. Be more than happy to answer any questions, go over anything with anybody that we can't cover here. Certainly not going to endorse anybody. I'm not here to tell anybody who to vote for. I think you guys can make up your own mind who you think best will get in there and fight for you and do what's best. What I can tell you is a vote for me will mean you get exactly that. I will go in there, fight for the little guy. I'll fight for the person that goes to work every day, works hard. I want to try to create a level playing field. I will never, ever stop doing that. That has always been an objective of mine. I'm not here to do anything other than what's best for the horsemen who put their trust in me and vote for me. This would be my 3rd term if elected. I'd be happy to serve. I would look forward to getting some positive changes here at Parks for now and moving forward. And thanks for your consideration, and good luck to all the candidates.
Thank you, Jack. We next have Charles Arsenio.
Here? Yes, I guess.
Certainly, Jack.
Good morning. For some of you who don't know me, my name is Charles Arsenio, and I've proudly served on the board since January 15th, 2017, and including 5+ years as the treasurer of the PTHA. I'm passionate about the sport, and I've been an owner for over 13 years and a breeder for 4+ years. I got spoiled by a gentleman by the name of John Service, who is close to my family, who introduced me as an owner to the industry. And the first horse I purchased came from Windstar. The sire was Bellamy Road, and the name was Bellamy Beach. And the first race that he ran on, he won. It's been downhill ever since. Trust me. But my wife and I yelled and screamed as we were at the Kennel Club in West Palm Beach. I've also have served, for some of you who don't know, on other boards. I'm going to briefly touch upon that because I do have experience. I served on the National Employment Opportunity Network and elected president by the membership. It's an advocacy platform that helped to produce or develop employment and training initiative for those individuals on public assistance. Some of the known companies that were members are E&Y, ADP, et cetera. I served and appointed by the White House on the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta. I also served for over 18 years on the bank board of Georgia Primary Bank. I understand my role as a board member, and I know what the duty of care and honesty and transparency means to be on the board. I must be candid with each of you, and I'll be.
Getting close.
I'm up? Okay.
Finish up. You have a few more seconds. Go ahead.
The last year and a half or 2 years was a bit frustrating, very testing, and very exhausting. It was an incredible waste of energy, time, and frankly, a hell of a lot of money. And as treasurer, I saw those dollars go out that could have gone for something that I have a pet peeve, is better housing for the workers in the backstretch. It's unfortunate. It happened. Hopefully we move forward and learn from it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michael Day.
Welcome. I thank you for having me here. I'm new to all this, so I bring some fresh new blood here. My name is Mike Day. I live in Freehold, New Jersey. I come from a background of running a multi-million-dollar division for Philips Electronics. So I have a lot of experience in business. I actually started my own construction company out of Freehold, New Jersey, who I still own, but my son runs it for us. So I'm kind of got a lot of free time now. So I'm pretty much retired. So all I do is my horses, my real estate, and my church, because that's very important to me, church. I helped start a church in Berkeley Township, so I'm very involved with that. I come from a background in harness racing, standardbreds. Very fortunate. My best friend at the time was the leading driver in North America for many, many years. So at the age of 17, I had 16 of my own horses at Freehold Raceway, which is the oldest racetrack in the history of the country. I mucked stalls. I jogged my horses, trained my horses. I did it all. So I know exactly what everybody does and everybody goes through. But I was very fortunate to be in that position with the harness. I actually still have my driver's, trainers, and owner's license in standardbred. I transitioned over to thoroughbred back in 2011. And with the God's grace and excellent training of Butchie Reed, my second horse was able to win the Breeders' Cup, the 2011 marathon race. So I was hooked. So I stayed with thoroughbreds. Now I have a bunch of thoroughbreds. My trainer is Michael Moore. I'm based out of Parks. Also breed horses out of Silmar Farm, Betsy Houghton's operation. So I'm excited to be here. I think I could bring a lot of my expertise in business, some new ideas, new suggestions. I just want to bring some new stuff to the board and just know my experience will be helpful. and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mike. Angelo De Filippis.
Good morning. So I'm sure a lot of you woke up to email this morning. That took about 3 weeks of research, to figure out what the truth is and what's not the truth. So I'm a 54-year-old guy from Brooklyn, New York, reside in Howell, New Jersey, married with 2 kids, own my own restoration company in New York and New Jersey. 2022, I decided to move all my horses with Scott Lake at Parks Racetrack. So there's been a lot of Facebook live ads and emails and stuff like that. And, guys are talking about 100,000 people, showing up daily at races. We need to get real about this. All right. That happens on big days that the everyday bettor likes to sit home on his couch and bet and watch races. They compared us to Naira, saying it's packed and they have great crowds. Well, Belmont, when it was open, Aqueduct, there's no crowds there. Looking outside our gates in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, it's not Saratoga. But there's a reason why Saratoga runs during the summer. It's a vacation spot. Yes, there are 3 tracks. There are successful meets: Saratoga, Keeneland, and Del Mar. It's impossible to compare Parks to them. And that's what Hutt and Julia and their candidates that are focused on. If Parks was the only track with issues, I would agree with them. But it's worldwide. Online betting is ruining all sports and unfortunately racing. So I'll prove it. We could do the math. Pennsylvania Derby Day this year, attendance was roughly 10,000. On-track handle was a bit over 500,000, and we had 15 races on the card. That means everyone bet $2.50 per race. That's not a good number. The off-track handle is 17 million. Yes, something needs to be done, but we have to be realistic about it. We need ideas to bring people back, but 100,000 a day is not reality. I feel some of my ideas could help, which are, number 1, fix the outdated bylaws and enforce them so the embarrassment that this board has gone through in the past year never happens again. More weekend cards, Saturday and Sunday racing, weekend family-oriented atmosphere with promotion days by local vendors. Example, Mom. What?
You're over
I'm
time,
good.
but go ahead. Finish up quickly, please.
Mom and Park food trucks in the picnic area, music bands, stuff like that. Bringing back turf racing, which was just approved. Great. Weekend backstretch educational tours with educational online classes to get the public more involved to increase the ownership. A retirement program for the most important people at Parks, the grooms and trainers help. And an open door policy for trainers of all nationalities to understand what it takes for a level playing field and keep better communication for expectations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Finelli? John Finelli? Okay, thank you.
My name is John Finelli. I am a current board member. I am the voice of reason for the people. If you're looking for change and you're sick and tired of the status quo, vote for me, John Finelli. I don't have my own agenda. I'm here for the people. I want to help everyone. A lot of the board members look out for themselves. I'm not looking out for myself. I'm looking out for everyone. We need to make Parks a better place to come for not only owners, trainers, the fans, the people, the bettors. And the only way we're going to do that is if we get a new board. And I want to be part of that change. Even though I'm on the board now, it's hard to make change unless you have enough board members with the same ideas and philosophies and positive attitudes. So get out and vote if you want to change. And go Birds.
Thank you very much. Robert Hutt, please.
That's me. Hi, I'm Bob Hutt, your duly elected president. Many people here asked me to run on a law and order campaign to expose the underbelly of alleged corruption that had been going on here for 2 decades. 3 years ago, at this very meeting, esteemed veterinarian Dr. Mike Chavanis asked President DeBunder a direct question. If you weren't here, Jason, if you could roll the tape and see Mr. DeBunder's response.
I'm just wondering, of our elected officials across the country in the THA, are any of them paid? And are any of our elected officials in our organization paid directly or indirectly for their service?
Direct response, Mr. DeBunda?
Our bylaws do not permit the president to be paid, but I am paid occasionally as a lawyer. Okay, but I am not paid as the president.
Thank you.
I want to be clear that what the good things you have here today are because of me. You can be negative about me and all you want, but what you have is because I did it with this board and with our outside consultants. That's why you have them. And as far as accusations against me, I hear a lot of accusations, no proof. No proof.
Mr. DeBunda wanted proof. So let me start. What you just saw was an outright lie. And not one board member, including those now asking for your vote and trust, stood up to correct him. At depositions, a respondent admitted under oath DeBunda was lying. DeBunda wanted proof. Here's what I found after 3 years of fighting every day to uncover what has been going on at Parks for 2 decades. DeBunda lied when he said he wasn't paid as president. He was. He got paid occasionally. Well, do you call $750,000 occasionally? That's what he got. We have the checks. We have the proof. Our attorneys have it. The forensic experts have it. Half of the money was funneled to his racing stable. And unless he has Mr. Ed who can talk, he didn't do any work. We just recently found out that the other half of the money he was getting, another $350,000, was being paid to his law firm in which he's a partner, Archer Greiner.
We have to cut you there. It's 3 minutes. Yes,
Excuse me?
Mr. Lynn? Oh, okay, I apologize. Yes, let's keep that mindful, please. Yes, I agree. 2 minutes. Everyone got 2 minutes. You had 3.
Including the video?
2
Well,
minutes. 2 minutes. You can discuss with anyone you want to if you take a break, but we're all here for
when you
2
have
minutes.
a question, feel free to ask me, and there's about 10 other things, $50 million. is
Okay, let's
missing.
move. We have to, Mr.
Hi, my name is Joe Lynn. Most of you know me as Longball. I'm running for the board as an owner for the PTHA. There's a couple reasons why I'm running. Although I have respect for a lot of the people on the board, I feel like the board's gotten stale. I think there should be term limits so everybody gets a chance to run. I think we need to get some new blood in. I think we need honesty, integrity, and if you want an honest person who's going to be totally truthful and honest with all of you and go to bat for you, I'm your guy. Joe Lynn, Longball. I appreciate you considering me for this job, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you very much. We get to Mr. Maloff.
Morning. I just want to say a couple things. Number one, I was on the New Jersey board, Horsemen's board, for over 15 years. We all worked together. We got a lot of things accomplished. We voted and got operations from the state of New Jersey. We put a deal together that the Horsemen took over the track and had to lease it. I also had, and then we never argued about this stuff. All this stuff that we're talking about is in the past. I think the track needs people that want to think forward, do what it can, and grow together. This fighting amongst ourselves accomplishes nothing. I've managed 150 people for over 50 years, and I had won my first race at Keystone Racetrack. That's how far back. They don't count the years because I don't want to know about it. But I'm just telling you, what I can do for anybody is whatever I do is always for the best interest of everybody that I'm doing business with, both ways. We got to take care of the racetrack. We can't argue. We got to solve problems. I'm a problem solver. I look at everything, how it affects everything and everybody. Any vote I take would always be in the benefit of no one but everybody that's part of the the racetrack. So, I mean, all of this stuff that we read about, we can't change the past, but the future's right here sitting in this room and anybody that votes. So if you want to get a new schedule of people, you got to change the people. That's all. Get new people with fresh blood and fresh ideas. But the whole thing is we got to make a better racetrack by working together and solving problems. I'm a problem solver. That's what I do for a living.
Thank you very much. Greg Newell.
102, 26, 1. Those numbers are the reasons why I hope you would consider voting for me. You see, 102 stands for the House of Representatives. The 102, we need 102 House of Representatives, we need 26 senators, and we need one governor to vote with us to change the Racing Act. We can talk all we want about all these other issues. Our gaming revenue is dying, and it's got to be fixed. We've been passionate, excuse me for getting excited, but you could work really hard here. We have spent a lot of time trying to go up to Harrisburg to make that change. We made a lot of progress this year, but we need a lot more. For the last 5 years, I've been spending my time going up to Harrisburg. And while I've been president of the horse breeders for 6 years and been on that board for 10 or 12 or whatever it is, I've been speaking not only for the breeders, but for the horsemen, because we're directly connected together. We live and die together. I've made at least 15 trips this year up there, and it's not just me, it's Jeff Matty and Brian Sanfratello and Dan Manfredi. We made a lot of progress. Unfortunately, we're tied with some other things. I would love to continue on and help this board with my connections. I do a lot of industry stuff that gets me meeting with the legislators. We got to get to them or it's going to be a struggle. And lastly, I'll just simply say as a quiet thing, I've been with the board for 10 years. Everything was we and us. It was really simple. We worked together. We had differences of opinion. We made our vote and we went on. And we shook each other's hand and we didn't sit together one table all the time. I would ask you to consider that and not consider I did. I did as a cancer. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Ron Acino?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Ocino. First, thank you for everyone in attendance. It's great, and everybody on Zoom as well. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to shorten my prepared remarks to respond to an email that was sent out last night by a fellow candidate. And since there was no blind carbon copy, I will respond to everybody on the email tomorrow because I can't get everything in today. But 2 points. Yes, I live in Connecticut, and I have to be either crazy or passionate to make the 5.5-hour round trip to Parks as often as I do. I'm not crazy, and ask anyone that knows me about my passion. As to the horses I own, besides my own small stable and being a member of the largest public partnership in Pennsylvania, in the last 4 years, I have bred and owned 4 Pennsylvania bred foals, one of which is across the street right now. If that doesn't count as being in the game, then I really don't know what does. I don't want to spend a lot of time on my bio. It's readily available. I'll just say I started my advertising agency 43 years ago, and it's still in operation today. And I co-founded 2 other businesses that I recently sold. My advertising clients span from retail automotive dealerships to government contracts. I've been an owner for 24 years and a breeder for 4. People, we are at a critical point in Pennsylvania racing and by extension, our breeding. Parks can either become the jewel of the Mid-Atlantic or continue our current downward trend, which will not turn out well for any of us. Businesses cannot survive without new customers, and except for big race days, there are almost no families or young people at this racetrack. I began taking my daughters to the track when they were 10 and 7 years old, and they're still fans today. I have a picture here that's worth 1,000 words. I'll be glad to show it, and I'll stay here till 4 o'clock for anybody that wants to hear my words and offer suggestions. This real sad truth is that Parks racing is just not on anyone's entertainment radar. The advertising and marketing of Parks is nearly non-existent. What business can survive this way? Without a well-conceived marketing plan to attract new fans, we are on a collision course to disaster. And let's be honest, Act 71 is not going to save us forever. And as witnessed by the editorials published just 5 months ago in the Philadelphia Inquirer and Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, that should tell everything that you need to know. How can Parks, on the border of the sports-crazy 6th largest city in America, not be doing better with live attendance? If I'm elected, I will examine the underlying reasons, borrow some ideas from successful tracks, and use my 43 years of advertising expertise to grow new fans.
Thank you, Ron.
I have one more thing. One more thing. One more
We'll
thing.
make it quickly. We'll.
The thoroughbred racehorse is the most noble creature on the face of this earth, and we should endeavor every day to do our very best for them, either directly or indirectly. We should be grateful that we can and thankful that these magnificent horses are in our lives.
Thank you. John O'Hara.
Good morning. My name is John O'Hara, Four Leaf Clover Stable. I've been coming to the parks, Keystone, since I was 10 years old. My parents had 35, 40 horses with Ron Glorioso. I became a hot walker at 18, 19 years old with Ron Glorioso. Also filled in at Bob K-Mac's stable. I became an owner at 26, which was a little young, had a few horses with Ron, but now I am with Kate Tomasi and Ed Colati. And my agenda really is we need to get the fans. We need to go after the digital influencers on social media. Behind the scenes, we need to team up with the breeders and local businesses. I'd like to put in a program for a co-op for high school students that would learn the backside and the front side of the track, business and the agricultural side of that. Our aftercare program has to be a priority out front. It has to be shown to the world that we care about the afterlife of horses. We do know, the downside of that is people, in the media and all that say horse racing is, detrimental and all that, but we need to put the aftercare program in front. I'd like to come up with a program of a bettor's card like they do at the casino, rewards. You got to bring the fans in at some point. One of the gentlemen obviously made a great point of food truck days, Italian Day, Irish Day, the vendors days. We need that. We need the fans is what we need to make it work. Harrisburg isn't going to help unless we can show that we have the fans and we have, the showmanship of it. Other tracks do it. Our tote board needs some help. That's been there since I've been coming since 1975.
Yeah.
It's the same tote board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Charles Acne.
Morning, everybody. Chuck Zachney here. Been involved in this game for 20 plus years. Started out with a big horse way back when, 2004, 2005, named Fleet Alex. So I get very, very lucky out of the gate and really got the bug. Since then, been in the breeding game for 18 plus years. I do breed in Pennsylvania. So between horse racing, having 12 plus horses on the backside today, breeding, I'm certainly invested, and I certainly want to see a successful racing in the state of Pennsylvania. There are a number of trainers in attendance, which certainly have made me successful over the years, Butch, John, Tyler, so I thank you for all that. Couple years ago, I got out of the medical billing business. But one of the things that we did was we went to the local colleges, Monco, and we actually spoke to the students, and we were able to recruit that way. And that's not a bad way of basically going out there, introducing them to the sport, to the racing, to the front side, the back side, these beautiful animals, these beautiful athletes. And I think we need a young group. I'll be honest, I go to the races and I'm one of the youngest people there, and I'm not real young. So I think we need an infusion of blood. I think we need to reach out to the 18, 19, the 20-year-olds and see how we can get them into this game. I think that's going to be real, real important to do so. I also want to bring stability. I listened to a number of the podcasts and meetings over the last couple of years, and to be honest, I was somewhat embarrassed. So I'm hoping to bring some stability, transparency to this group. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you all, owner-director candidates, and we'll now call up the trainer-director candidates. Richard. That's built up quite an industry. You're very welcome. Hi.
Oh, I want to. Yes. You need help with mine?
I'll thank the attendees for their for the interest that they were. I was watching the faces as many of the speakers were talking, and I noticed how intently each one of you were following what they have to say. I will share with you one concern of your industry that is found in other industries that I travel through today. Actually, 2 points. Getting the younger people involved in all of our organizations and institutions is becoming most important for the lifespan and proliferation of wherever we are. I've noticed that quite a bit in the construction industry, where there's a number of mentoring programs going on at the same time. The many comments that I heard reinforces that thought that goes through my mind, getting the younger people involved. You have a beautiful industry, actually, and the gentleman that was commenting on the beautiful animals that you have, just think of how important that is going forward. So with that, I again show that you really have something of value to keep going here. We're going to start with our trainer director candidates. Mr. Arce.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good afternoon, guys. Thank you all for having me. Thank you, Phil and Mike Moore, for nominating me. I take this very seriously. I'm not gonna claim that I know all the ins and outs about the business, about being on the board, but I promise I will learn quick and give you my 2 cents and help the Spanish community, which I represent. And I believe we are like the 80% horsemen working in the backside. I used to be a jockey, groom, work for the vet, pretty much did it all, live on the backside. So I got a lot of friends of mine and colleagues that ask me questions to help them out. And I do what I can, but I think if I'm on the board, I can do even a better job. And for the life of me, I don't understand why these, they're throwing too many shots and focusing in the past, which the past is already done. We're here. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do better. I think so, but we're in a pretty good spot. If you compare us to the other racetrack, I think we are in a pretty good spot. We can do better, which we will, but I love it. I love Pennsylvania. I love parks. I want to be here, and I want to represent all the horsemen. And if I can take 30 seconds real quick to talk my Spanish community, para todos mis amigos, mis colegas del trabajo de Parks, quiero representarlos. Si votan por mí, lo voy a agradecer. Esta es la única forma de que nos van a escuchar, es votando, porque las opiniones y las palabras se las lleva el viento o se quedan encajadas. Tenemos un poder ahora que podemos votar, que podemos hacer que nos cuenten, porque nosotros somos una parte muy importante en este negocio. Les voy a agradecer si votan por mí, o si no votan por mí, como quiera, voten, háganse sentir. So, with that being said, thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Bullock.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jordan Bullock. I'm actually fastly approaching my 13th year here at Parks. I love Parks. One of the things that bothers me, though, is that it seems to be related to negativity, and we need to put a rest to that. I love everybody here. I know the majority of the people here. I spend my mornings saying hello to everybody. I'm a lifelong horse person. It comes from a horse family. I showed horses most of my life before moving into thoroughbred racing back in 2013. Change, I think, is a big deal, and positivity is also a big deal. I want people to feel comfortable here. We've heard that, we need to grow and get more people out, and we need the food trucks, and yes, we know we need the bands, and we need all of these things, but we spoke about that years ago. We actually spoke about that back in 2013 and 15 and all those other years. But who's going to do something? I'd like to do something. I brought people here to this racetrack where I've had to actually just at my own pocket pay the gas and everything. I brought young people from Philadelphia here to get them exposure. It's not been easy, but I'd like to work on that, get these people out here. I brought Fox 29, I did Good Day Philadelphia, to try to give us a better image in the city. I'm also working with Channel 6 to hopefully get us on FYI. I work with people in Harrisburg. I work with the media. I have a lot of contacts across the board, and I think that we need to just breathe life into this. It's a great group of people, great horsemen that need to be spotlighted, from the little guy to some of the big trainers. We have some of the greatest trainers in the United States here, and I think people need to know about that. It's a fun, great atmosphere, and in Philadelphia is right literally across the street, and all you got to do is just reach a hand out. We have veterans in the area. We have Levittown. These things are right here, and they're all doable. That don't cost us money. And I've always believed that if we could create and show that we have a good product, we don't need to go over to the casino and ask for anything. We can generate our own funds. I'd also like to, be a voice for the horsemen. Once again, get things done. People come to me constantly and have complaints, whether it's a light bulb or disposal or water or something like that. And I'm the person. Come to me. I'll make it. I'll get it done. I'll work with Jeff. I'll work with Dave. I'll work with John the stallman. But we've got to do something. There's a lot of talking, and that's great. But let's be doers and get it done. We have a great product. This is Philadelphia. We're a fighting city. Let's fight for our horses.
Thank you. Michael Catalano.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today, and all the people watching at Zoom. I've been training horses since 1988, which makes me a longtime horseman. I'm the type of guy that wants to represent everybody. I want to represent, grooms and hot walkers, the people that come to you every day and they have personal problems on the backside. I want to be there to help them. I want to be the type of guy who represents the horse always. I want to be in the boardroom where the horse's safety and its well-being is put into the conversation and put first. I'd like to say that over all the years that I've been training horses, I've been to a lot of board meetings, and I've seen my fair share of boards come and go. But everybody has the same thing in common. They want what's best for racing. They want what's best for the horseman and the horse. And there's a lot of good people, and your vote is important. I'm going to represent in the boardroom, I'm going to represent the full spectrum of all the working people that represent the track. I want to be part of something that can bring that forward all the time, representing as a collective and not as an individual. I also like to speak about the PA bred breeding program. If you're a PA breeder, I'm your guy. I want to see that program put on a trajectory for success. I want to help that program succeed in every way, because I really believe if you're going to be in Pennsylvania, that's very important. It's very important to me. I have a lot of Pennsylvania breds in my barn. I go out and I look for them in the sales. I try to bring them here. And, for that reason there, I'm your guy. So if you're a Pennsylvania breeder, I want you to take that into consideration. And if you have any questions of me, I'm always around the barn area 24/7. I'm the type of guy you can get a hold of. Just call me on the phone. A lot of people come up to me and they have the problems, and I'll do what I can to help them. I'll see it out too. I won't just run away from it, like point you in the right direction. I'm going to be there side by side till your problem gets answered. Thank you very much for having me out today.
Thank you, Mike.
And I appreciate your vote.
Edward Coletti.
Hi, everybody here pretty much knows me. I'm Ed Coletti. I've been on this backside since I was a teenager. My dad and my grandfather, we all trained here. I started my career here. I've been at other places and I came back here to train horses. I had this speech that I was gonna say, but I feel everybody here is wanting the same thing, except for the fact that it's a real tough fight with management. It's not nothing that goes real easy on a day-to-day basis here. And you have to know to choose your battles and know where you want to go and who you have to support. And you have to support the people at parks and you have to support the breeders. I just feel like just this past year and a half has gotten way out of control and we need to reel it back in and just go back to taking care of the people back here, making sure everybody's okay. And the only way you do that, to get all these great ideas that everybody has, is to get some kind of relationship with Joe Wilson and to make sure that everything is, getting the fans back in and everything all has to do with front side. And depending on how you can push them to get to that is what the board you elect should do. And that's what we should try to do if I get reelected.
Thank you very much, Ed. John Kirby.
Hi, my name is John Kirby. I'd like to apologize for being late today. I'm a very hands-on guy. I'm in the barn 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I'd like to think that I understand the average horseman's concerns. I'm the youngest candidate today. And so what my focus is longevity. I want to be able to spend my career here at Parks, and that's really, I think we have a lot of good programs here already, such as, retirement, health insurance, the PA Bred program, obviously. I'd just like to see all those things keep going for another 50, 100 years at least. People like to call this a dying industry, but I don't see it that way.
Thank you. Scott Lake.
Hello. Pretty much everybody knows who I am. I've been at, I don't know how many different racetracks, stabled at different racetracks across the country. I decided to make this place my home. This place offered more than when I was stabled in New York, Maryland, Delaware, Charlestown, Penn National, Florida. This is the place. Been fortunate to serve on the board before. I got elected last year after 12 years or so of not being on the board. It's been a trying 3 years to say the least. We've had some nonsense stuff that went on and should have never gone on. It cost you, the horsemen, a ton of money. It cost me a ton of sleep, along with every other board member on there. It was ridiculous. The fighting needs to end. What happened in the past isn't coming back. We had a 98-page review that cost the horsemen $37,000 to come back and tell us the $4.2 million was not a monetary assessment. Now we have $120,000 going to a forensic accounting to see if anything was done wrong after we've been audited by 2 different companies every year for the last 25 years. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. We need to move forward, focus on what's going to make this place better, not what's happened in the past. And, hopefully you guys will vote for me. You'll vote for the right candidates that we can make this board strong and move forward instead of fighting all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Moscow.
No.
He's on
They
tape.
could do a film. Bobby's not here. Yeah, I don't know if he did a.
There you
There
go.
he is.
Hey everyone, Bobby Moscow here. Just giving a little bit about myself. I've been here at Parks for 45 years, 1980. I started in the spit box, moved my way up, started grooming horses, assistant trainer, jock agent, all that stuff's in the bio if you want to look. training for the past 25 years for Jack Armstrong and others. I really appreciate all the help the guys give me. I'm running on the board because I like to help out the horsemen, see what's going on, and see if I could do something that make it better. Whether I can or I can't, I will try. My whole family's here working, my wife, my daughter, so it means a lot to us, and it means a lot to me to be around and be on the board. And if you can vote for me, I'd appreciate it. And just remember one thing: everybody got a ballot. Please, it'll take 5 minutes to fill it out, send it in. I know we never get as many back as we send out, but if you can, take 5 minutes and do it, whether it's for me or anybody else. Thanks a lot and have a good day.
Good point. Now we get to Robert Reed.
Hi, everybody knows me as Butch Reed. I've been a trainer for 40 years, all up and down the East Coast. Won some Breeders' Cup races and some Grade 1s and a lot of different races. But I just wanted to say that it's the best opportunity anywhere in the country for a trainer right here at Parks. Between the healthcare, the pension, turning for home, and the many different programs that the previous board offered. I've been a board member for 15 years, and it's been a very proud opportunity for me, except for the last 3 years where the lawsuits and the infighting has just stagnated the board and really haven't accomplished nothing over the last 3 years. So I just like to say thank you for your support, and it's been a good run. And I'd also like to say support Kate DeMasi for president of our organization. Thank you.
John Service.
Hi, John Service. Came to Keystone Racetrack in 1980, served on the board of the HBPA throughout the 90s. 2004, I went to Harrisburg and spoke in front of the House and the Senate about getting the slot machines. And now, little did I know, the slots would be 95% of our money. I think a lot of people have great ideas. You can't go about it with an iron fist because the slots support us. So we have to work with management hand in hand. We have to have a good relationship. I've seen management when simulcasting and we fought and stuck it out and decided to boycott, and I watched management go right that night that we voted on that. They sent out a letter to all the horsemen to let them know that if they didn't enter, they had to get their horses off the grounds. The next morning, they went to every barn and looked at the trainers face to face. Are you going to enter? And by 11:30, the entries were closed. So much for the support. We need to work hand in hand. We need to get a lot of things done. And I will tell you, a relationship with management is most important. This racetrack is surviving. There's a lot of racetracks that aren't. If you go around the country, I don't care where you go, they're either supported by the slots or they're corporate and they're run by corporate, and that's exactly the way they're managed. So, we got a pretty good thing here, and I think we need to continue to take advantage of it and get a solid board back together like we used to have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Tyler Service.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tyler Service. Many of you know me since I was a young boy running around the racetrack. Those of you who don't, I'm John's son, also the grandson of Joe Service, who was a longtime steward here. I know I don't have much time. I'm trying to keep this pretty short and sweet, but I think the biggest thing, like most other people touch based on, is we need unity. I mean, we got such a divided board and so many people going against each other instead of coming together as a whole and working together to try to make this place a better place to be. At the end of the day, I think the unity is more detrimental to our growth because, I mean, we're all we have and we're all we need is, I think Nick Sirianni, that was a quote by him. And I think that's one thing we all have to do is there's no wrong questions to ask. Everything should be in consideration. And let's try to make this a better place. I was born and raised in Bensalem. I now have kids of my own, and I mean, I'm in it for the long haul. This is my future, and I want it to stay around as long as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Richard Vega.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Richard Vega. I've been here 41 years. And I even worked for John Service a long time ago. I have worked for many people here. And I seen this racetrack have a very, very nice, let's say, progressive, that we have done a lot good over here. I got 3 kids, and I raised all of them right here in this racetrack. And I was working, and I became a trainer. And the thing that I wanted to say really is, we have to quit talking about Sal de Banda, about Mike Valesi. Those are the people, and I want to do the same thing. I want to work for all the little people, and give them what they need. Sal de Banda, Mike Valesi, that's what they did for us. They went and fight for us in Harrisburg. And we got this insurance and everything because of them. We have a retirement plan. We have everything because of the 2 people there. Jan Serbe was there, Bush Reese was there. They all fight for us. And we need to quit being in the past. Quit being in the past. And don't be accusing everybody of things. Just quit it. Quit it, and we all get along. Howard Brown asked me today, if I vote for you, what will you do for the little people? I will take it to the board, we'll talk about it, and let's see what happens. That's all. We don't need to fight. That's all we need to do, is talk about it. Forget about the fights. Nobody fights. Thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll get your vote.
Thank you, Richard. Daniel Velasquez.
Hi, how are you guys? My name is Daniel Velasquez. I've been here all my life. Been here, I'm 41, literally been here 41 years. Vega can attest to that. I've been sitting on the advisory committee for the past 3 years, and I've been very, very in tune with everything going on. So I don't need catching up. I know the players, the pressures and the pitfalls of this board, and it drastically needs to be changed. Let's face it, the next 3 years stare us down with real challenges. Declining metrics, strained partnerships, and the illusion of success while we fail miserably to the core. Act 71 in 2004 was our saving grace, which enabled slot revenue, a lifeline to elevate our program, to attract better horses, draw top horsemen, and enhance our product. But instead, we lined our pockets, hiding behind false parachute of casino cash. We chased false security and forgot what this game is truly about: the horses, the fans, growing. I'm here to be your voice, to flip the script, to lift Parks up the way you deserve. I'll do it by honoring the bylaws, not breaking them, by negotiating fair racing agreements that put us first, by laser focusing on social media presence to draw more viewership, more eyeballs to this magnificent product we call horse racing. I want to tighten bonds with Pennsylvania breeders, lobbying to bring more farms back to the Commonwealth, breathing new life to the PA bred program. I'll negotiate with Parks Casino to integrate Parks Racing on their app to make it seamless for fans to bet and watch and connect. And last but not least, open dialogue. Every board meeting publicized immediately with clear real-time updates to 2,500 members. No more pretending to care. I'm here for you guys. Vote Danny V.
Thank you, Daniel. And that concludes the introduction to the trainer director candidates. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment before the president candidates. Don't go for the, see.
No, my father-in-law was a doctor out in South Philly. I did time mine out. I'm gonna be right around 3.
That's fine. 3:45? Well, you're permitted 3, but let me get. All right. Most important is getting the message out for these two candidates. So they've agreed to go a slight moment or two past the 3 minutes. So we will start now with Kate DeMasi.
I'm Kate DeMasi, and I am running for president. It has been an honor and a privilege to have served as a trainer director and most recently, vice president of the PTHA. I have fought to strengthen our programs, maintain purse structure, and ensure that every trainer, owner, and stable employee has a voice. During my time on the board, we developed the programs that we have today: healthcare and pension, Turning for Home, supportive programs for our PTHA community, and a growing scholarship program. Having experience and working knowledge of our organization, I know I have what it takes to be president. I care very deeply about the PTHA. The Mid-Atlantic region is a strong racing community, and I chose to make Parks my home base for the last 40 years. We have year-round racing and lucrative purses. We have solid stakes programs, and Parks boasts 2 Grade 1 stakes which have springboarded Breeders' Cup winners. We have had Parks-based horsemen win stakes on the national stage. We are a proud community and tough like our Philly sports fans. The PTHA is a business, but it's a business of people, and we're in the business of fighting for and advocating for your best interest. You may hear PTHA is not run like a business, but in fact, despite an unexpected petition filed by our current president and my opponent to remove 7 of our elected board members, our association is still fiscally healthy. Because it's run like a business, our healthcare premiums have decreased, and we are expected to increase our per-start pension contribution. It's been run like a business, working for you every day, despite the recent poor leadership. The PTHA didn't happen overnight. It has been years of hard work, putting together programs that support our Parks community. Our organization is about horsemen helping horsemen, and the last 2 years feels more like horsemen against horsemen. Arthur Hancock III said in his Pillars of the Turf induction speech, "The horse is the sport. Take care of the horse, and the horse will take care of you." So true of many things in life. So true for our PTHA organization. We must take care of it. Collaboration, diplomacy, and a willingness to listen are key to being a good leader. I have always tried to exemplify these qualities. We need leadership that will move us forward. We need leadership that can be a good steward of our organization. We need to protect X71, eliminating any chance of decoupling in our future. It's time we work together again. We need to put our differences aside, despite having conflicting opinions, roll up our sleeves, and get to work. We need to plan for the future of our sport. In the spirit of transparency, I'm going to suggest that we make board meetings available on Zoom for the entire membership. The directors you vote for are just as important as the president you vote for. The board ultimately make the decisions that affect you. The good of the many outweigh the good of the few, and it isn't always easy making those decisions. I appreciate your time, and I thank you for your support.
Well done. And now we have John Julia.
Good afternoon. Before you put me on the clock, I'd like to say something.
Okay.
The last time I stood before the PTHA in a meeting such as this, I didn't represent myself that well. And I'd like to apologize. I'd like to apologize to the PTHA. I'd like to apologize to Greenwood Management. I'd like to apologize to Joe Wilson. I'd like to apologize to Eric Hauser. And most importantly, I'd like to apologize to Scott Lake. All right? Scott?
You know, it's interesting, Scott, after we obviously, had our disagreement, I had a lot of time to reflect about what's the division, why do we have disagreements? And I have to tell you, this is not just a parks issue. This is an issue with the industry. We are one of the oldest industries known to mankind. Equine athletics, competition with horses, horsemanship, goes back literally to the days of ancient Greece. Right? There's no business on the face of the earth that rivals what we bring to the table. That being said, there are two schools of thought, and I understand it. The first school of thought says that racing's under pressure. That we have to be careful about what we say and what we do because there is tremendous pushback. We keep our heads down, don't make noise, right? Hope that the storms will pass us by and then we'll continue to survive. I tend to be in the second school of thought or camp, right? And I stand with those who refuse to shrink, believes that our only path forward is with vision. Now, I'm going off script here. The reality is we've heard a lot of good ideas. We've heard a lot of good ideas up here. Food trucks, weekend racing, right? The truth of the matter is there's a difference between understanding horse racing and understanding the business of horse racing. All of those great ideas don't mean a thing unless we can get cooperation from those people, those entities, those groups that allow us to enact our plans. The truth of the matter, we don't decide what days we race. We don't decide how many races are on a card. But we have to work with those people and change the dialogue. You know, we focus on handle quite a bit. The truth of the matter is, right, look, when somebody comes to parks and they bet $1, right, 85% of our handle is signal out. I'm more than happy to discuss that, right? We earn 4%, 4 cents on a dollar. Our cut of that being the horseman, is 31%. When somebody bets $1 on a handle, we get 1 penny, right? 1 and change. When somebody walks over to the casino and puts $1 in a slot machine, we get 12%. We get 12 cents. There are problems with the mathematics of how we go to market and do business, and they need to be addressed. Look, at the end of the day, yes, we have disagreements, but we have to have vision. And that vision is one thing that we lack, right? In all candor. Vision with reality. Vision with reality. So here it is. I have a 5-point plan.
Well,
right?
John, you went over.
I gotta give me 1 second. Right?
Well, we'll give you 10 seconds.
All right. Well, look, my 5-point plan based on transparency and fairness, growth and outreach, modernization and technology, building bridges and alliance, and finally education. Each one of those points has a series of programs that we can implement. But I gotta be honest. There's no one person that you're gonna vote for president
There's no 10 board members that you're going to vote for that are going to make everything great. We as a community have to work together. We have to bring ideas to the table. And we do need to stay unified.
Thank you.
So again, I'm more than happy to answer and go into more detail, obviously during the question and answer session. And whether we stay here to 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or 8 o'clock at night, I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you. Well, I have learned one thing about this group. You're all passionate about what you're doing, and I'm very impressed by that. And I give you a congratulations on that. Now I'm being asked to,
At any point the Zoom was down, we're going to post it on all of our platforms. We have it recorded multiple ways, so everyone will be able to get to watch it.
terrific. Do we have the individuals with microphones? Or do you want all the individuals up here? Okay. Okay, so we're going to go with the owner directors first. If you'd like to resume your spots here. Nicely done. Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
There we go.
Just to remind everyone, we have a 1 minute limit on the question itself, and we'll have 2 minutes on the response. So if you do have a question, get it out quickly. Who would like to begin? This looks like my catechism class when I was a young. No one wanted to ask the question. Go ahead, please.
Bob,
Yes, Bob.
Bob, what did you guys gain from the petition?
I'll be happy to. I had started to, I have 2 minutes to respond.
You do.
Okay, start the clock now. I had started to tell you that when you looked at that video, that we have the proof, our attorneys have the proof, their attorneys have the proof. The forensic experts have the proof. Sal DeBunda lied and got 700,000. It was paid with Ghost Consulting to his stable and to his law firm where he cashed the checks, and it was approved as president's compensation by this very board. DeBunda's compensation was not reported to the IRS on the PTHA 990 filing. DeBunda paid a convicted felon who spent 5 years in jail without board approval, $250,000. He never issued any 1099s. Ghost Consulting is a felony, punishable by jail time. The fiduciary responsibility of this board, you draw your own conclusions. He shorted the horseman $40 million of your guaranteed 31% in the live racing agreement. For the last 9 years, you've been getting 15.5%, the lowest para mutuals in the nation. When I took office, the valuable Ghost Consulting by DeBunda by Dunrobin Farm, the Talking Horse, and Archer Griner, where there was no work performed, it's in the minutes, ended a week before I took office. So valuable, why? The horseman was shorted $40 million over the last 9 years. DeBunda also placed $1 billion over 20 years from the Racehorse Development Trust Fund. That's the money you get from the casino slots for purses. He paid you $20,000 a year in interest. when I found out about it 20 months into my administration, where I has to sign and approve all checks, they made a mistake. You now get $200,000 a year.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, could you ask me another question? I'll finish.
Would
Thank you.
anyone like to continue? Yes.
Did you to sue the board again for us extending voting to extend just contract for 1 year while the new board was coming in? Because we think that was best for the association.
Yes. Mr. Service.
Yes.
Bob, are you gonna sue us every time we don't get you, right?
I didn't hear your question, John.
Are you gonna sue us every time we don't?
You every time the law broken, and then I'm going to support the 2,500 people and try to get their money back, which we have a chance to do. There were reasons because the president in the John, you've never, John,
once the
John,
question
you
is
asked a
asked,
question.
please.
I'll answer you.
Okay, hang on. Here are the rules.
John,
The question is asked without interruptions. and
John,
The response is given without
John.
interruptions.
I think you testified that you rarely were familiar with the bylaws, and the bylaws state clearly, the president selects the executive director. 2 days before I took office, Sal DeBunda gave him an illegal 3-year contract when the president can only give a 1-year contract, and put in an unreasonable $675,000 severance clause, which has now been removed, John. That's why I was not going to extend the contract, to protect the horsemen. And I think I also gave 61 reasons to the board, if you care to enumerate them, why I didn't think he should get a new contract. But that, I'm not here to attack Jeff Matty. This board has failed in its fiduciary responsibility to 2,500 members, and there's $50 million unaccounted for.
Thank you. Well, let's get some, we'll get, everyone will have an opportunity to ask a question, but hang on, we have to, Mr. Burke.
You said that this
He'll get it.
failed to do, to fail us. Who was the president of this board?
Excuse me?
Who was the president in this board?
Sal DeBunda.
No, you did. You were the president of this board, because this is what you said. This board have failed to do all of us.
Well, let me ask you a
So
question.
who was the president?
I'm the president.
Okay.
And I'm trying
And
to
you did.
recover for you, Richard.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you,
One
I'm
second,
not trying
please.
to argue.
1 second, please. We ask a question and we permit an answer. We're not here to argue directly. Have you finished your question?
No.
Finish your question, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you were the president.
I
okay?
am the president.
Okay, if you were the president, why did we spend so much money in this argue that it has no sense? You keep on arguing a person that is dead. And Saul is very sick. He's a very sick man right now. He cannot even argue with you or tell you, anything because he's not here.
Okay.
And I mean, if we don't ask you and we argue with you about this, he represented us one time. So.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Richard.
All right, and I have 2 minutes to
Go ahead.
answer. Let me answer your question. Very clear, okay? Act 71 gave all 6 racetracks health and pension benefits. As we tried to find out what was going on, we learned that you horsemen who work so hard 7 days a week, 365 days a year, were getting a couple of $1,000s going into your pension. While it was going into your pension, a couple of thousand, if you're lucky, you're going to walk away with 60 if you're here 30, 40 years. The executive director was being paid $300,000 and putting $100,000 into his pension a year. The board, the previous boards, not this one, approved it. His secretary, a secretary, was getting paid $120,000. You put $1,000 in your pension, she put $40,000 into her pension. Those boards all approved it. We have the proof. Everything that I'm saying now, it's not allegations anymore. We have the proof, we have the documents, we have the checks. The law firm, Archer Griner, was given $500,000 over a 3-year period, rubber stamped. Some of the money that they paid was with your money for claims that you weren't responsible for. This has been a RICO Act that's been going on close to 20 years. There is a chance to recover $50 million, 50 million, listen to the number, and with interest and punitive damage, it can go up to $100 or $200 million. It wouldn't cost you a dime. They don't want you to know about that because if fraud was committed, which in my opinion it was, and we're going to see what the forensic experts say, that stays the statute. A professional liability firm will take the case for zero legal fees, and you can recover your money. And it's my job and a fiduciary responsibility to protect 2,500, not cover for the crimes of this past administration. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, we have, hang on one second. Did you want to ask a question? I want to get everyone the opportunity to ask first.
I have a question for Mr. Asensio. You've been the treasurer for what, 5 years?
Yes, more.
Have you discovered any sign of fraud by the previous leadership? Not at all. Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Darcy?
Yes, this is for Angelo De Phillips. How do you feel about the lawsuits?
Well, I can have an opinion, but it seems like, Mr. Vega and every other trainer and owner that are up there want it to end. And even John Julius said it, but for some reason, Bob doesn't want it to end after a 98-page review that says there's nothing there. The horseman will charge $630,000, which we're ready to be bankrupt over because he doesn't want to stop it.
That's what I was going to
Stop.
Okay,
Please.
so we need to stop. We need to stop and go forward and figure out what it's going to take to get this track back in order. Because honestly, Bob, we could go back to your 4 points when you ran for president and every single point failed. And I don't want to call you out on them, but every single point failed. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to move on and grow together with a new president, with board members that were here or new board members, whatever it takes, and work together with unity.
We had another question.
And I'm sorry, hold on, I got one more thing. You 7 board members that were sued, I'm speaking for everyone. I apologize. And Kate DeMasi, you still walk around with a smile and you want to be the president, you want to represent us. It is embarrassing what this man did to you.
Thank you. Mr. Vega, question. Now, question. This is a question.
How much money? You said that's how the banda spent all that money within 3 years. How much money do you spend in 1 year? In lawyers? Because this is what you lawyers do. I don't know if you are one of them, but this is what lawyer does. I went through a divorce. I lost a lot of money. So this is what happens whenever you are in a divorce case. And this is what we're doing right now. This is a divorce case.
And I have a chance to respond?
Well, have you gone through a divorce case? It may be accurate.
Okay.
The question was, how much money did you spend?
Yes, I'll be happy
please.
to. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful question. I'm going to look around this room. How many of you would put up $100,000 of your own money with no guarantee to get a penny back unless you win the case? John Jr. and I put up $100,000 of our money, paid every bill with no guarantee we were getting anything back to prove that what we're saying is true. Would any of you do it? None of you. We did it. And when it came time to try the case, they caved in. They gave us a dozen concessions to stop us from going public. Why don't you ask them about saying to the advisory board that the insurance company was paying their bills? The insurance company didn't pay their bills. The president has to approve and sign every check. They took the money out of your funds to pay for their representation. Now, that's your answer. I paid $100,000,
Okay.
Richard, my money to bring this up to protect you, Richard, and the money's been stolen from you. Do I make myself clear?
Okay,
That was
no.
my money.
Thank you.
And now you're getting $200,000 a year instead of $20,000.
Thank you. Thank you. Hang on now. Hang on. Hang on.
You should have bought it horses. You probably would have got it by now.
Insurance companies don't pay bills when you sue your own.
Listen, I've been in many meetings and I've moderated many meetings with a passion.
Did you read the bylaws? The bylaws say they have to defend
Gentlemen.
themselves.
I'm conducting this here. I've been in many meetings where the passion of the audience has arisen to this point, and there's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with feeling the way you do at the time you feel this way, and it's important for both positions to express themselves. It's not unusual. Here's what we're going to do, though. You take a deep breath before you ask a question, and take a deep breath, because what we want to hear is information, not personal feelings. I think we all understand that. If there's any questions for me, please ask. Mr. Vega, you'd like to ask a question?
Yes.
Do me a favor first.
Yes.
Take a deep breath. Good. Okay. Go ahead.
Now I'm going to tell you something, okay?
Go ahead, Richard.
Sal de Banda was one of my owners, okay? I didn't show any money in there. They didn't say, oh, let's go to the sales and buy $100,000 horse. You know what? When I did that, I went with myself and I bought them. And I said to them, I sold them pieces. And all my owners can tell you, every time I bought a horse, okay? But Sal de Banda was with me for a lot of years, with Eddie Lehman too. I didn't show anything like that he was stealing, or I never heard anything, not such a thing. The only thing that I heard, if you're a lawyer and you got
Okay, now do we have a question?
yes.
Go ahead.
If you have a law firm and you are the president of the HPA, who are you going to? You going to hire another lawyer, or you going to hire your own lawyer?
I just,
Go ahead.
to answer, to recover the money that has been stolen from you, the violations of the live racing agreement that have been ignored by this board, it does not cost you one dime. A professional liability firm will look at this case and establish if fraud was committed. If it was, it stays the statute of limitations. They will sue Sal de Banda and Archer Griner, who was cashing checks. That is called ghost consulting. It's a felony, fines, jail time. The CEO of Tyco went to jail for 8 1/3 years. Some boards, the fiduciary responsibility you have, you better read up on it, this board, because I've told them over and over again, they have fiduciary responsibility. They can't cover up crimes of the past. And I want to say this, they agreed, not us, to a dozen major concession reforms from the same board now asking for your vote and trust. To safeguard your future, you need to examine your past to prevent this type of abuse from ever happening again. Part of the concessions they made was the forensic investigation, which is taking place right now. Another part of the investigation, the president can never be paid again, no matter what. When Dr. Shavanis asked that question, we didn't know the answer, none of us in this room, including me, but everybody on this board in 2017, the minutes are clear, president's compensation, de Bunda lied when he said he got paid occasionally as an attorney. Money was being paid to his law firm, which I couldn't account for, because when you have a retainer, you get work applied to it. But now the answer was clear in those minutes from 2017. They were paying him cashing the checks and giving it to them. They've got major problems, Archer Griner, and they've got billions of dollars that can pay you guys back.
Now, are there, hang on for just 1 second. Are there any other questions of any of the other individuals that are sitting here?
Yeah, I got a question. I got a question right here.
Want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity. Your mic's not
For-
working?
For,
I'm sorry. All right, you're standing. I'm going to permit.
for the sake of moving on here, which we need to kind of move on and want everybody to know that. This is for Mr. Maloof. First of all, I appreciate you running for the board. I know you've been a good businessman for a long time, and that's what we need here. I know you were, I know you're on the board over there in New Jersey for many years, like you said, and I'm a big believer in the horsemen need a bigger say in the running of the racetrack. And in New Jersey, the horsemen have taken over the running of the racetrack at Monmouth, I believe. And I wonder if you see a path forward for something like that happening in the future here at Parks, because I believe if we don't run our own business, somebody else will run your business into the ground. So I'm hoping that someday we can move in that direction.
Well, yeah, I believe so. Is this working? Listen, I believe that that's something that could be considered, but the way you start that is first find out what it costs to run a racetrack, and then you got to go to the casino people, said to them, listen, maybe we'd entertain taking over the responsibilities of the racetrack or something. But that's a separate, that would be a project that you would talk and work out with the casinos, the Greenwood. You know what I'm saying? It's something that somebody could consider, but you have to know where you're going with it. What's the expenses? How would we be able to maintain it, and so on and so forth. But it's definitely be something that I would look at. Why not?
Thank you. All right, now we get to Jordan Bullock.
Thank you. I'm on my fourth question now, trying to remember. Let's go with you, Mr. DeFilippis. Throughout the meeting, we've heard some of the senior folks that have been around for a while talk about the past, and we need to move on and get rid of it. And, you know, we've heard that Salomon was so great, but my question is, after uncovering or attempting to uncover all of this, what does moving on look like? Because there is evidence of something. Now, we haven't finalized that or anything, but people may disagree. There's some bad stuff that's gone on financially. So what does moving on look like? Does that mean that we forget and continue on the way we've done? Or does that mean that we actually do an overhaul and make a physical change?
No, so the overhaul is being done. There's a forensic firm that cost us $120,000 to do this. So let them review and stop bringing it up. You should be sued by Sal DeBunda, and you know, it's ridiculous. Let the lawyers do what they do, and we need to move on and concentrate on how to get unity back here and go forward. Because the other problem that I have, and it seems like it was missed by a lot of people, go back and look at the lawsuit. The other party sued in that lawsuit is the entire PTHA, which means myself, you, every voting member, including they sued themselves. So this settlement should have never been signed. If I was on the board, I would have never signed the settlement and let them go bankrupt with their own money on their lawyers, because the horseman paid $630,000. That's what's pissing me off, that I'm sued and I didn't even know about it. And this whole track could go bankrupt, and what do we do then? Okay, I raced at Mountaineer down in 2005 when the trainers felt the same way. Mike's got great ideas. When those trainers went to management, they destroyed them. They crushed their purses. The backstretch is ridiculous. It looks horrible down there. Okay, so yeah, I've been around 25 years. I know a lot of you don't know me, but I've been around 25 years at many different states and tracks. It looks like this. Let the lawyers do their job. Let the trainers do their training. Let the owners do their owning and pay bills, of course, and race, and come together and have some fun in this. Like, if you're an owner and you think you're going to make millions of dollars in racing, you're crazy. You're crazy. But it should be enjoyable. And honestly, losing sleep myself for the past 3 weeks 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, my dog barking, my wife screaming. It has not been fun here. I decided to come here for 3 years because they're trying to sue guys that, like Mr. Vega said, your pensions, your healthcare plan. No one else in the country has these plans as high as you guys do. Congratulations. It's unbelievable. So let's come together. Let the lawyers review everything. Stop playing lawyer. If there's something there, Bob, we all shake your hand and thank you and put your picture up right in front of the track.
Hang on. We gotta get some other folks in here. Yes, please.
My question's Mariah Montoya. Ron, you're in advertising. I really think advertising is huge for our business. Could you give us an idea of what you think you could do for us?
Well, first thing you have to do is you have to target families and you have to target younger people. Now, I'll be the first one to say that's going to take some input with management. But at this point at Parks Racetrack, actually, let me just give you a story. It's better this way. Usually I make it a point every year to take 1 or 2 people to the racetrack that have never been there so that we can make some new fans. I do it no matter where I am, no matter what state. I try to take people to the track, okay? Usually I go to Monmouth because a lot of my friends and family live in New Jersey. So we go to Monmouth. This year I couldn't do it. So I asked my brother and a couple of friends who maybe have been to the racetrack once or twice and a couple of people that never were. And I said, you know what? We missed Monmouth this year. How about we go to the Meadowlands one night? Now, for those of you that probably know, the Meadowlands runs a little kind of, half a thoroughbred turf meet. But you know something? When we were done that night, I got up from that table and they had the restaurant, the bigger restaurant was closed, but they had what is the Horseman's Restaurant open. I got up from that table, Mariah, and every single person at that table said, Ron, when can we do this again? When can we come see your horses? And you know what I had to say to them? Well, we can do this again at Monmouth of the Meadowlands, but unfortunately at Parks, I really don't have any place to take you. And that's the real problem here. Parks is not on anybody's entertainment radar, like I said. It's just not. If a young couple wants to go out for an afternoon of racing or twilight racing or night racing, which we can't have, but at least twilight racing in the summer, can they sit down, enjoy a meal with their friends and get to know what racing's about? You can't do that here. How we would do it is too long. I don't want to take a lot of the time, but that's where we start. We have to be focused on getting new people to understand this is an entertainment venue. And what I don't understand, because I'm not privy to all the fights with the management, but what I don't understand is if somebody comes to the racetrack during the day, why would casino management care if then when the races were over, they went to the casino at night? It's a win-win for everybody, and I don't understand it.
Thank you. Yes.
This question for Mr. Newell. Obviously, we need a lot of help in Harrisburg. So if elected, what can we do as an organization to lobby for our future?
So thanks, Tyler, for that question. We have what's called the Equine Coalition. I'm not sure how many are familiar with that. That's made up of thoroughbred breeders, standardbred breeders, the 2 horsemen's groups on the thoroughbred side and the horsemen's group on the standardbred side. They have done a great job over the last year. We have put so much pressure on the legislators to tell our story. And it's more than telling them what's wrong. If you saw the legislators that came here for the tour, did anybody here for the tour when the legislators were here? Yeah. And candidly, subtly, Tyler, what could we do? That's the answer to the problem. We had 10 or 11 legislators who have a lot of things to do, and we had a very limited group there. We're tied to the crap that's going on with the games of skill. And again, the legislature booted that down the road. But we've made a lot of progress. What we really should be doing, Tyler, is getting them here and having a boatload. Kate was here. Where's Kate? I'm sorry. Kate did a wonderful job sharing her barn or whatever. And you know what? We need to get 3 buses, 4 buses. And it can't be just the trainers and it can't be just the owners. My story that I tell the legislators is about the hot walker. It's about the groom. It's about the people like RC who has gone and made their career and moved up the ladder and now they're an owner. Now they're a trainer. Those are great stories. There's 1,000 people working here, working hard, daily jobs, 24/7, 365. But for the most part, know who's up at those meetings? The people are paid to be there. And I don't mean to be bragging, but I was one of the very few people who put all that time in and wasn't paid a dime and asked for a reimbursement for a single thing. That's how we change it. We got to put a face to the beauty that's here, and it's about the horses.
Thank you. Sir, the back. I'll get to you. I'll get to you.
So John, you put something in your mailer and you brought it up today. And as an owner, when I meet someone out in the industry, main part of my conversation is trying to stress the aftercare and how we take care of these athletes. And you, like I said, you brought it up in your mailer and you brought it up again today. And I'm just curious of what you want to expand on that and how you want to try to get that message across that we actually do care about them and we do worry about their aftercare?
Sure. When I put my four-leaf clover stable partnership together, and I have a bunch of 1%ers and, all that. And one of the main questions I was asked was, what happens to the horse after racing? Which is a big concern for people that, it's not like the people in this room that have grown up with it. It's mostly people that are just want to own a piece of a racehorse, but they're concerned of what happens afterwards. And when I was selecting my trainers that I have gone with, Ed and Kate, and that was one of my main concerns was when I approached them, I tried to feel them out for what their aftercare thought was. And Ed had a very sincere reply. And Kate, you could make her the poster girl for aftercare. So she's so involved in it, which is great. But I had to express that to the people that were joining my partnership, is that I care as well. I almost die inside when a horse breaks down on the track, and I see the van come out, man, a tear comes down my face, to be honest. But I want to make sure that we have that as a front and center, because owners, when you're trying to attract owners and fans, they have to know that they're going to be taken care of. And like everybody said earlier, it is about the horse. We're just kind of a part of the whole game. The owners, we're part of the game. I'm there in the morning, I'm there in the afternoon. I care about the horses. We had a horse run a couple weeks ago, had some stomach issues. I want to make sure that horse is fine before we run it. And, the aftercare is a big thing for me and my partnership. But we have to make it front and center for the public to know that, because we do get feedback and kickback from people in different organizations regarding, cruelty to the animals and all that. So, but I just want to make sure that our aftercare program is top notch and that the people in the public know that we care about it truly 100%.
Thank you, John. Yes, you wanted to ask a question. Please identify yourself.
I'm Richard Vega Jr. This question is for Greg. With your connections in Harrisburg, is there anything you could do to bring more money to the horsemen, like as far as the wagering and from the casino?
Thank you, because 2 minutes is hard to get to everything. So on the positive side, clearly online gaming is the issue. The money, way more people bet on slots online now than the bricks and mortar. And that's our problem, is we're tied to bricks and mortar. So we've worked hard over the last year to get that message to the legislators, because what we want is a cut of that online money. That's out of state, that's out of country. It's just supporting nobody. And that message in general has gotten there. And if we can do it, that's a much steadier, reliable source of income than relying on the slots at the casino. And then it ties us less to parks and their management and more of outside stuff. And so what we need is that get continued support, everybody to share that message with them. And I'm honest with you, from the breeding perspective, once we put the trust fund, breeding exploded. I promise you, if we can get this legislation passed, this place will be full. People will be breeding again, because you can trust that 3 years from now, that money will be there. And so that's our solution. The Equine Coalition has done a phenomenal job putting us in that spot. We need your help. When Jordan gets up here, I'm going to ask him because I have a specific legislator that I think I could use his help with going to type of deal. And use everybody's connections. Chuck has connections, everybody has connections here. That's how I go about it. And there is a solution on the horizon. We got to help push it over the finish line.
Great. Okay, we're going to permit one last question because we do want to move on to the trainer and directors and also the president. So go ahead, finish it up, please.
Greg, what do you think the number one risk is in Harrisburg for the slots?
So the biggest risk, did you say? The biggest challenge is, other than John, a few people, the legislators, there's very few legislators that John appeared before, they're still there. And then because politics is so divisive, they stay 10 years, they get their huge pension and they move on. Talk about pensions. So what the biggest risk is people not recognizing what's going on. And we need to rely, one of the things I say with Jordan, he may know people in Philadelphia. I got to rely on people in Philadelphia to support us here. And so the biggest risk is educating everybody every 2 years. Every 2 years, the state reps get elected again, and it's tiring. And so that's why to get the trust fund and get that money locked in online, and that would be the best way, Rich, to overcome that risk. That's the issue right now, that the risk is that the legislature won't do anything about that on the games of skill. They're not skill games, you know, they're slot machines for all intents and purposes. And they won't deal with our issue until they deal with that issue. And it's a crazy political football. It's not a partisan issue. There are Republicans who support it, Republicans that hate it. There's Democrats who hate it, and there's Democrats that love it. And so we're stuck in that thing. And I think if our voice becomes stronger, that we make more of a presence, then maybe we can force them to say, the hell with them. You guys want to fight that? We're the ones that have jobs. We're the ones that save an open space. We're the ones that make a difference out here. Screw them, deal with us. And that's how I think we'll do it. But we got to do it en masse. We got to do it diplomatically. I'm all fired up here. But trust me, you're shaking hands and telling them they're the best people in the world.
Thank you very much. Let's get the, no, we don't have do you have a question?
Angelo said it's kind of very important that people understand that. Just give me.
All right, well, we'll give him due.
Respond to something.
All right, you have 2 minutes, so.
And Angelo said, you need to know this. When I discovered that we had paid $40 million needlessly, we were never threatened. We have nothing in writing from the casino. It was basically blackmail. We got Sal DeBunda to explain it to us, and I asked him point blank, after the first year where you got double the purses, why did you continue to pay it? Sal DeBunda is on video on a Zoom. I made a mistake 3 times. We got his attorney into our office, and I called him out about writing it was a monetary assessment. He admitted it was a disguised monetary assessment right there to the board, and we fired him by a vote of 8-2. The president doesn't get a vote. The third thing, what he brought up, I ran an insurance company, professional liability. I had 4,000 claims and attorneys people reporting to me. The clock is now ticking. It won't cost you a dime to recover 50, 100, 200 million. The worst that can happen is a professional liability won't take the case. They pay every dime. So the clock is now ticking now that we discovered it. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. We have the trainer directors. Jordan? That was very healing, my friend. Very healing, believe me. I can stretch it out for a second, then we'll get right back into the questioning. Yeah. Is John coming back? Or did he go back to work? It's unexpected. Okay, if everyone is just about ready, we can take our seats and look for the first question. Who would like to present the first question? You guys make it. You guys.
You're done? Yeah, that's good. All right.
I have it.
We'll make sure that I think the.
Okay. Who would like to ask the first question of our trainers?
For me, I'm really shy. All righty, so Jordan, as I mentioned, the key is making personal relationships with legislators. And oddly enough, this is not a Dem Republican. There's as much Dems for it and Republicans for it or whatever, but we need the support of the cities. And the reality is that these tracks support the city. We're a unique industry. We support the city, the suburbs, and the agriculture. I just ask if you were there, and even if you weren't there, if you could help us with some of the legislators, because Ed, you have a great story. You're a classic example of that. And so I was hoping you'd be able to, make yourself available for meetings, because I have a couple legislators in particular I think could be helpful.
Absolutely. I think part of the problem is that we, the horsemen, don't even know the legislators.
Right.
We don't even know the names of the people that are actually on the racing commission. And it's even that information is not really good. If you look it up, the term limits are messy. They're not sure because of last meetings in May. I mean, they don't even know what's happened since. So yeah, I'd be more than welcome to do that. I've worked closely with Sherelle Parker, the mayor of Philadelphia. I've also worked with some of the district council people in South Philadelphia, and there's also Northeast Philadelphia, some of them, just trying to pull them up this way, because we do have that line and it does kind of separate us from the city. But I'm sure, and I got a chance to speak with the mayor of Ben Salem at one of our big events, the Derby weekend. And that's a good thing, but we got to touch these people. We got to touch them. We got to know who they are. We got to harass them. That's their job. They actually represent us. So, I don't think there's a problem with asking them to help us or for advice or whatever. So like I say to everybody, please ask me. I have a big media background. I started on television. I'm always here.
Well, it's clear you're able to talk, which is out of it itself. And I say that as a compliment. You're casual and easy to hear in telling your story. And that would go a long way with legislators who may not understand this business, but have ability to make a personal connection. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
Next. Yes.
Thank you, Mary Chavanis. First, I want to say, I heard a really good thing on the radio coming in. Country over party. Wasn't that amazing? Something to remember. And happy Thanksgiving. I want to, age is a blessing and a curse. So my advice to any newbies is to always remember You got to go to bed at night, you got to wake up, and you have to have a very clear conscience. The board has volunteers, period. It is a unpaid position. Clearly, we all have gone over that again and again. My question is for candidate Mr. Coletti. I'd like to know, since so many of us are involved in breeding in the state of Pennsylvania and we're horse owners, how do we avoid a situation like today where so many of my friends in the breeding industry wanted to be here, not on Zoom, had to attend a meeting? If we're going forward, how do we prevent this void of scheduling? Because honestly, we're trying to get over the past, get into the future, and I want to know more of the people that I breed horses with, own horses with, etc. How do we get this? How do we jump the fence to get together?
I think you have to, besides just having these couple meetings like that we do for the, at the barn, you know, at the rec hall and stuff like that, I think we're gonna have to try to outsource and have like get-togethers maybe or something, like just pull everybody together because I don't feel as though like the stallion shows attract enough people anymore where you can get to know people and stuff. I think you need to do a little bit more of you know, outscaling and try to get some, you know, meetings outside, like in a venue like this, but just have more of them, have maybe quarterly meetings or stuff like that to get everybody together, because I believe, and this is just me, but if we don't help the breeding and the breeders back here in Pennsylvania, try to work it out where we can keep everybody happy, I think they're going to run short, and it's going to hurt Pennsylvania. I mean, if our mayors are going in New York or our stallions are going, we got to figure out a way to do it. And I think the only way to do that is to get everybody in a big room like this and, you know, start collaborating and do it more than once or, you know, 6 months a year. We got to do it quite often.
Thank you, Ed. I just wanted to mention again to the newbies, if you haven't heard of a gentleman who has since passed on by the name of Rick Violet, he was a huge proponent for all of us owners, trainers, horsemen. Go on ESPN, look him up, listen to him, and please try to be better people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ron?
Question is for Danny. Danny, outside of the normal day-to-day with the horses themselves, what is your biggest challenge when you're speaking about employment, payroll, government regulations, you know, particularly with employment and what you have to now do as far as all your salaries and things like that?
Well, as we all know, we have to have good workman's comp and liability, and that's huge. Trainers have to pay all that. And obviously with the costs, everything going up, a lot of owners and, well, a lot of trainers aren't caught up with the bills with what they're actually billing out, right? So they're paying out of their own pocket to cover their staff, right? So a lot of times they're not getting paid the 90, 95 a day. They're getting paid 65, 75 a day, and that's not covering it, right? And our liability and our workman's comp goes through the roof. So for every person that you have on your workman's comp, your premium goes up, right? And that's constantly what I'm doing. I'm fighting that all the time. My premium's constantly going up. So I don't know how I would go about to battle that. That's an insurance issue. I don't know where I could go with that. Obviously, I would bring it to the board and see if they could help us, but I don't have the answer for the insurance. I'm sorry.
My question is for Scott Lake or anybody who was in the meeting that asked about the cameras in the barns. From what my understanding is that you were on the side of, you didn't want the cameras in the barns. Is that correct or incorrect?
Do I want government watching over me 7 days a week, 365 days a year? No, I don't. If a guy wants to put cameras in his barn and spend his money and invest into the AI thing that was brought to our board, that the guy made his pitch, which would cost you $200 a camera per stall. For me, $8,400, X amount a month, 60 or whatever it was $1 a day, $2 a day times 42. Am I going to spend that kind of money? Absolutely not. Because if I got to do it, I'm going broke. And if I have to do it, I have to charge my owners to do it. And the owners aren't going to like it.
But if the track were to put them in to stop this cheating that's at parks, because everyone in this room knows it's rampant, Are you against that because you don't want people watching over your shoulder? Or are you gonna like step up and say like, okay, that's okay because it's gonna better the sport?
Okay, so when I was stabled in Maryland, I had 60 horses at Pimlico. Had a ship, they ran a 3-week, 4-week meet Pimlico every year. The rest of the year was at Laurel. I ship over, I'm in the same 6 stalls every single time for 6 years. About 2 years into it, I found out that they had cameras in those 6 stalls, just my 6 stalls. Nobody else went in those stalls. Jumped in my car, drove down, said, Joe Poe, you guys put cameras in my stalls? Seriously? Start receiving barn, we can do what I want. Okay? Are they in anybody else's stall? No. I said, and what did you find? Other than your grooms peeing in the stall, you've done nothing wrong. Okay, go to the Daily Racing Forum and put that out there because I've been called a cheater my whole life, right? I'm not. So put it out there. We can't do that. That was our private investigation. So if they want to do that and they want to make it public what their results are, I'd probably be okay with that. But listen, any trainer in this room with the new Heiser rules and everything that's in here, can you say you're doing everything 1000% by the book of what Heiser tells you to do? If you say yes, you're not looking in the mirror and being honest. You're a liar.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Well, to follow what Scott said about cameras, okay? I think the last thing, I mean, you take HISA, what they've done to the racing industry. You bring the government into any sport and you're done. You might as well close the sports down because they hire people that don't even know what they're doing to find fault. Now, anybody can find fault with any business you walk into. There's always something somebody could find fault. As far as making a statement that everybody's cheating back there, that's a very strong statement. I don't think that's fair to the trainers at all. Or people everybody has a different opinion about who's doing what. But I'm just saying this one statement is we don't want the government in the sport any more than it is. If they weren't in there, everybody in this room would feel a lot better who's in the business of taking care of the horses.
No.
Well, who's gonna, who's,
Wait, say,
whoa, 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 wait, whoa, whoa. Let me answer your
Hang on,
question.
please.
Wait,
let her respond to your question, then we're going to get back to you.
Okay.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I just said that maybe there was a panel of trainers or a panel of horsemen that watched it. I never once said government. That was Scott, not me.
okay, all right, no.
So that was misunderstood on my part.
Can I respond to that real quick?
Hang on, not right.
No, wait,
We're gonna let
wait,
Rich
let me,
respond, then
let
you
me finish.
if you can. Please.
Wait, I apologize if I threw the government in there. I don't want them in there. All I'm saying is if we put cameras in, who's gonna be watching it? You, me? Who are we gonna watch it?
They don't do no.
What, I don't understand. Who's gonna watch? All the horsemen are gonna have cameras or just one stall?
Okay, let's get back on program, Rich. We're asking these questions of our
My
panel.
question, I want to ask my friend John Service here. He doesn't know this, I didn't talk to him about this, but you've been on the board, I understand, quite a few years. Don't you think that the board can settle all of these issues with the right board members, attacking whatever issues that, you know what issues need to be attacked because you're there all the time? It's not hard to correct whatever issues we have. It's just that everybody's got to work together. That's all I got to say.
Well, just look at the history, Richie. I mean, we got a lot accomplished over a lot of years up until the last year and a half. And I see Lisa sitting here up front and it just made me think of something she brought up at our board meeting last week about the turf course. And this is just an opinion, but management, I don't know if everybody realizes how much management follows what goes on back here. And I will tell you, they drug their feet with the turf because they know it's an election year and they're not going to do anything until they see who gets elected. And that's going to have a big outcome.
Yes, sir. Hang on 1 second, please. Get the microphone.
Has our relationship with management been fractured enough that we're going to be able to get anything done?
I mean, listen, it's been fractured. Is it fixable? Absolutely, for sure. I mean,
It's fixable if the right people are.
well, Phil, you were on the board. You know what kind of relationship we had with management for years. We can get that back. We can get that back with the right people. And then we can get it back quick. We just need to get there.
Next. Now, young lady, you were going to complete your statement. Do you have another question of Mr. Lee? Would you like to respond to that last one?
Well, when I said government, okay, because HISA is government, the State Racing Commission is government, okay? You didn't clarify and say to me that we're gonna have a trainer panel reviewing everybody's move. And again, what I do as a trainer, maybe I do better than other people. I don't want other trainers knowing what I do, how I train my horses and what I do and what I feed and what I, that gives me my edge.
People want to better the horse. Do we really want to better the horse? That's how I think of it, and everyone's entitled to their own way to think. I was just curious on your opinion on why we didn't, because I don't know where anyone else stands in it, but I knew that you were on the stance of you weren't interested in your horse. So I understand you don't want people to look over your shoulder. I do agree with that. But if it was to better the horse.
Okay, to better the horse, I'm doing everything I can to better my horse. I'm the one that fought tooth and nail for turning for home, to jump our fee from $35 a start to $100 a start. And I had a lot of people against me. People want to go to 70, 75. I'm the one that pushed hard for 100 because then we have no issues. In the public eye, they see that we're taking care of these horses like we should. I've been the biggest donator to Turning for Home for horses every year, for the last couple of years, because when I feel one's not right, I'm quick to put him in Turning for Home. And Mr. Maloof will testify to that. 3 of them last week, just because they weren't right. We did everything we could to make them a racehorse. They weren't going to get there. So guess what? Before they got hurt, they went into Turning for Home.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so sort of a blanket statement on where we are. You all in this room need to understand who we're talking to are your Pennsylvania Horsemen's representatives. They are not supposed to be the ones making decisions on cameras in the barn. That's your commission or HISA. Okay, now, this is not something that our board should even be involved in. The discussion at a later date with our, I would say after everybody talks about it, yes, we're going to have some arguments, I'm sure, from other horsemen, and they are the ones that are going to stand up and talk for you. That's what we're here for. We're not here to change the laws of racing. We're not here to change if the commission has a right to put cameras in every single stall in the back of parks. Management and working with our horsemen's group is the most important thing we have that we need to improve on. What I'd like to know, and John Service, if you don't mind being the person that I direct this to, in your opinion, what do you think our horsemen's group going up against management when things other than the turf course come along that we need to fix or that we need help with, or that they really should be doing more on the maintenance end anyway, in my opinion, but what do we have to get them to work with us? Because honestly, everybody's opinion is going to be the casino's always been more important since it's been built, and things in the racetrack have gone downhill since that day has happened. So can you?
Unfortunately, your opinion is correct. We are basically, management is the middleman in between the horseman and the casino. Nothing gets resolved unless the casino approves it. So do some things even get back to the casino? Probably not. Things we ask for, they probably don't even get back there. So you have to make sure when you have something that you really, really want, that's when you go to them and say, this has to go to the casino. This has to get done. I will tell you, there's a lot of other racetracks that are going through the same thing, and tracks you wouldn't think of, like Churchill, because the corporate, those guys are all complaining they can't ever get stalls fixed. The track, they've been having problems with the track on and off. The turf course was a mess for 2 years. They finally got that straightened out. Now they're complaining about the dirt course. So everywhere you go, it's not great. The industry's struggling as a whole, big time. I mean, New York just spent a fortune redoing Belmont, and you go to New York for a race, and you're like, where the hell's everybody at? But like Greg said, it's the online gambling that we need to get a piece of. So with management, like I said before with Phil, we had a great relationship. We need to get back to that. Some things with Joe, when we're adamant about getting things done, he'll take it back to the casino. And sometimes the casino won't want to hear it. Not at this time. We can't do it right now. And that's the situation we're in. But guess what? That's the situation we're in. We have to live with it because there's not an alternative.
But is there a way to, our horsemen in general, what should we be doing to make management maybe understand that we want to work with them? We want to make the whole place a huge profitable business, not just the casino. And I've talked to lots and lots of people in this area that grew up in this area. They don't even know we have a racetrack behind the casino.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, where we were talking about earlier with some other members that are, now running for the board, our advertisement is absolutely necessary. We have to get the horses out there, like when Smarty Jones was up there. That's was a huge pull when you were winning, and running the Triple Crown races. We need to get that momentum again. And if not necessarily, it's not so easy to run in those races. And as well as I do, it comes along sometimes once in a lifetime. And where do we get their attention?
That comes from the PTHA. Unfortunately, over the last 5, 6, 8 years, we've spent our own money advertising, doing publicity because management just wasn't going to do it. And if you stand back and forget you're a horseman and just see what goes on, you get it. I mean, they're making zillions of dollars in the casino and they're losing money at the racetrack. Why would they want to start throwing more money into it? But there's avenues. I mean, we're doing some publicity. We came up with an idea that we were thinking of doing like a March Madness type of thing with the local universities and having a handicapping contest. And maybe the winning school, whoever wins, gets, a nice chunk of money. We got to get management involved in that to be able to come up with a nice chunk of money. But we have ideas, and unfortunately, we have to do it. They're not going to do it.
Thank you, John. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Homer.
This question is I'm going to point it towards Butch Reed, since you're an existing member of the board. Sitting here, all of us are wondering, and I'm probably going to say it, there was 11 people on the board. There's several new faces running for board spots this time. Do you think a lot of yous are rerunning again? Do you think the 11 of you should run together? Like if you were elected, the same 11 were elected again. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, considering the strife that's going on? Do you think some fresh faces should come in? There's fresh guys up here and the ownership as well. Do you think it would be better for some, maybe 5 existing members and 5 new faces, like mix it up a little? Or do you think the 10 people, the 11 people that were on the board can fix what was done? Or do you think some new people should be put on just for some fresh new ideas and maybe work as a team better?
Well, unfortunately, there's a limited amount of space, so it's hard to say if we need new blood or not new blood, But the biggest thing is new blood in that working together with the management of the racetrack. And that's the hardest part, where there's been a wedge driven right now with Bob, with his continual threats of lawsuits and stuff. There's a wedge driven between us and management that needs to be regrouped, needs to be taken care of. And whether that's new faces, all for it if there's new ideas, that how that relationship can be improved upon, which is really what is the whole balance of this thing rests on. Because, you know, they're providing 95% of our purse money right now. So it's very important that they are on our side, we're on their side, and we're working together at this thing.
Yes.
Gentlemen, true story. John Service, Smarty Jones got me into this game way back in 2004, and I've been happy ever since. But my question is regarding the condition book, and I'm not sure if this is the right question. But how often do you meet with the racing office to review that? And what are your feelings about the 5,000, 7,500 claimers with a purse of 18 to 20,000, maybe tweaking it a little bit and spreading it out, basically up the ladder? Butch, John?
Yeah, I'll take a shot. Well, this has been one of my issues. I thought, and it's going to be an unpopular thing, but what we really need to do, and this goes back to our breeder event, we need to encourage investment in younger horses. Our population on the backside is getting so old, and it's because of the size of the purses for the lower end horses. I mean, why would you go out and spend $100,000 on a 2-year-old to run for a $50,000 purse when you can go claim a horse for a nickel and run it back 2 weeks later for a $20,000 or $25,000 purse? You know, that balance has to be. I know there's going to be a need for cheaper horses, and there's going to be for bringing those horses along, but the discrepancy for what you got to pay to win a top race and what you got to do to win it is way out of balance, and I really think that needs to be addressed. And I brought it up several times. In fact, John Julia brought it up at our last meeting. That is really something that needs to be addressed, and a very good point.
Chuck, when you're looking at this from a return on investment standpoint, to Butch's point, right? Look, we need lower end races, but we have an $18,000 pot on a beat nickel race. If I claim a nickel horse, run it. If that horse is PA bred, I'm getting $16,000 back. I'm getting 300% return on my money, right? Like, so the math does drive behavior. The math does drive behavior. And you're absolutely right that we need to consider, right, how we attract more horses, how we attract better horses, because quite honestly, like, our product has room for improvement. So.
Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to follow up, ask Mr. Service. So I've had a rough year. Of course, everybody knows. My horses are what I consider lower end horses. My business motto is to take a nickel claimer and make 100 grand and then put it in my backyard. I have a bunch of those. My return on investment is horrible. Luckily, I have a job. I'm a federal agent. I go to work every night. I train horses all day long. I'm not worried about this money, but it's not fair to those horses. Those older horses, those beat up horses, those war horses deserve to have a race where I don't have to drop them for a nickel. Somebody should be able to race a horse that's a lower end horse and still make money. Is there something that we can do to change that? They don't, this whole claiming game is not the game for me. So maybe this isn't the game for me at all, but I don't want to drop my horses into cheap races and watch somebody else take them and then watch them break their leg or go on to turning for home or whatever. I want to race them. And then when I'm done with them, I'm going to put them in my yard. I have 23 of them and 4 of them are retired right now. They're in the yard. Hushin, everybody knows Hushin. He's a nickel claimer. He made me 125 grand. He only raced for 1 year for me. He's a nice horse, but he was bred by Bruce Brown, named after Michael Hushin. He's never been off the track. He's 9. I couldn't find a race for him this year at all. So he's home in the yard where he does not want to be. He's never been home before.
Well, look at if you were in New York, you wouldn't be allowed to run.
Right.
Because he's 9.
Right.
But horse racing was founded on the claiming race. I mean, once racetracks started making money with gambling, the claiming races was where it's at. I have an owner that won't run a horse for a tag. If they have to run for a tag, I'll retire him. And that's what he does. I mean, that's his prerogative. That's what he wants to do. The claiming races are there. I will tell you this, the bottom claimer, Butch was on the board then. We made sure that the purse was significant for the bottom claimers when the slot machines first got passed, because we wanted to give all the horsemen here an opportunity to upgrade their stock.
Right.
And it kind of got lost in the shuffle, and it's maintained like that since then. Now, a lot of guys did upgrade their stock, a lot of guys didn't. A lot of guys just ran them back every chance they got, which you see now.
Yeah.
And I think depending on the board that gets elected, that's going to change pretty quick.
Thank you.
I think Richard has a comment before
Yeah,
you.
John Secney. When we brought out the slots over here, Sal Sinatra was the resident secretary. You know, and we talked a lot of times, and he says, you know, you guys better upgrade your horses because we're bringing these slots, you know, and we're going to need better horses. Well, I started buying a lot of horses for a lot of money. Guess what? I had it run out because there was no races to be found. We need them cheap horses, whether we want it or not. I mean, I don't mean this many, you know, not 23 horses in the farm, and you know, but we need them cheap horses so we can make that card. And I'm not talking about, you know, listen, you guys are very, very successful in buying cool horses. How many times do you run in New York a Pennsylvania bred? Okay.
First structure.
Yeah, like, what's the happy medium, you mean? Like, where do we meet in the middle? Yeah, no, it's a good discussion, absolutely, because we have trouble filling races with the better horses here, and then you do have to run out of town when you want to stay home, because you're based out of Pennsylvania. So, yeah, of course.
Okay.
I think
we
the
have-
answer to that is to see what tracks, what they're running for around you, and just be competitive for where they're at. We're way above everybody.
Yeah.
I want to ensure that
40%.
the presidents, the candidates for presidents have an opportunity to get into their position. But I think we have one more question here from the gentleman who's been sitting here quietly.
Okay, this is going back to what Scott Lake said about turning for home.
Okay.
8 or 10 years ago, when we were hardly giving them anything, there was a lot of times when we'd go down and turn a horse in and we'd have to keep them 30 days, 45 days. Well, I've gave a lot of horses to turning for home before I broke them down because they just weren't going to make it. Now we're giving $100. Hey, turning for home's the greatest thing that we got going on. They come and pick that horse up in 2-3 days. And how much does that save us from feeding them for 45 days? So turning for home's one of the best things we got going on.
Good. Good. Okay, well, thank you for your questions and thank candidates. Now for our last
Microphone sitting on this.
microphone. Go ahead, Danny.
Once Kate gets up here. We're going to give Mr. Julia 2 more minutes to give his presidential address just because the Zoom did go out a little bit. Also, this will end at 2:00.
What are you looking for? There. This was, yeah,
Just like this.
it must, oh.
One there, so
Just ask, come on, up here. Just ask if anybody picked it up. What? Did you get the other one?
No, I have found it. Is it underneath this thing?
Well, let's take a look. You never know. Yeah.
There it is, we're good.
I'm sorry. I didn't see, I didn't notice it when I came in. Thank you. I've been asked to bestow 2 minutes for John. And if we would, please. Thank you. John, would you like to proceed?
So, I think I got cut off the Zoom. I speak loud. Can everybody, I'm assuming everybody can hear me with or without a mic. So I was talking about a divide in terms of philosophy. Do we remain quiet or keep our head down, or do we be bold? Right? Do we be proactive? And part of that is, look, I mentioned a lot of great ideas, a lot of great ideas. There is a reality that our business is extremely complex. We don't choose the days that we run. We have no control over handle. We have no control over a lot of our marketing dollars, right? So bottom line is that have a 5-point plan. Transparency, fairness, growth and outreach, modernization technology, building bridges, right? And I mentioned this in a podcast. We, there's an old saying, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. We've divided ourselves. We have a half a dozen organizations that go to Harrisburg, right? That essentially, right, go as 5 or 6 different separate organizations. We need to unify a voice. The future that we deserve must be built on respect, transparency, innovation, and opportunity. We can strengthen ties with our partners across the state, quite honestly, across the country. We can expand our outreach. We can grow new owners. We can bring back fans with a modern voice. We can fight for fair revenue, explore streams of new income. That's very important. Very important. There's no sport in the world that operates surely on betting. And above all, we can create an environment where every horseman, from the smallest barn to the largest, believe that they actually have an opportunity to compete. Now, I know, I talk to a lot of people, that there are a lot of smaller barns, a lot of mid-sized barns that don't believe they have that opportunity. This business was built on the backs of smaller operations, of mid-sized barns. You cannot have large operations without small operations. It's very important that we protect that opportunity, that equality doesn't necessarily mean equity, but everybody should have a quality to compete and succeed.
That's just about 2 minutes. Do you need a few more?
One more second. Let me just say something. As horsemen, we may be ordinary people, right? We just may be ordinary people, but we have extraordinary passion. And I think at the end of the day, regardless of what side of the fence that you are on, whether you agree or disagree, there's a lot of passion in this room today. A lot of passion in this room. And when ordinary people have extraordinary amount of passion, anything can be accomplished. Anything can be accomplished. We need to stand up. We need to lead. We need to fight for our future. I am asking for your vote, and I know there's a lot of dissension, right? I get it. It's time to move forward. We've emptied the skeletons out of our closet. We've emptied the skeletons out of their closet. There is no more cover up. There is no more lies. Problem with lies is that they become more lies. We've rid ourselves of that. Now is the time to take an opportunity given to us by God to make a better future for all of us. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, who would like the first question? Please.
So John, this question is for you, because it's something that you just said, lies and just stuff like that. So just last week, I'm sure you were part of the lawsuit, to lower Jeff Maddie's contract and stuff like that. But also, word got back here that there's a rumor that you want circuit training, and you met with the board at Penn National. Racing, and why? Why do we need circuit racing? And the only thing that I see that does is take days away here, pisses management off more, goes dark, takes training away, and we're done. So I just want your
No,
feelings
and
on
that's a great
circuit.
question. I appreciate that. I appreciate that question. So number one, right, circuit racing. I don't know about circuit racing. Here's what I do know, Anthony. Here's what I do know, Angelo, and I'm sorry, right? Half the time I forget my own name, so don't worry about that. Here's the thing. We have 150 days of racing in Pennsylvania. We give back days every year. Let's say it's 140 days, right? 150 days. First and foremost, because we are a business that survives on handle, here is my position. We need to race on the most 150 profitable days out of the year. There is no sane business in the world that runs on days that are less profitable than others. Who goes to Rita's Water Ice in January? Right? Who goes to a Rita's Water Ice in January? You can't, because they're closed. Why are they closed? They're closed because those are not profitable months for them to operate. This isn't, listen, this is not a crazy idea to run on days and times that are most profitable. But Angelo, you know what the problem is? 3 years ago, I asked the question, why do we run on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays? Why do we run at, it is a good question. 3 years later, I still don't have an answer, right? I still don't have an answer. I come from a business world, right? And there are a lot of business people in here, right? Ask Mr. Maloof if he makes one business decision that's not data driven. One, right? Chuck, you make business decisions that are not based on data? No. Why is that such a controversial position to take? I don't get it. Now, let me say one other thing, right? We, right, that being parks, may operate in the most geographically ideal location across the globe. Across the globe, right? We are within 2 hours of New York, of Maryland, of New Jersey. I could get to, listen, I do have a horse or two in Charlestown. I can get to Charlestown in 2.5 hours. I can get to Penn National. Well, again, but
Okay.
right, we'll talk a little bit about those days,
All
but
right, John, we have to give Kate an opportunity to respond also. Would you like to respond to the same question, or would you like to accept another question?
It doesn't matter to me.
Would anyone like to ask a question of Kate, please? Yes.
Okay. One of the most important things that I wanted to say when I was over there, the way that you are right now is that everybody have forgot what is it that you are going to do for the people in the backside that work every day, every single day for us? What do you think that you can do?
Well, I think the most important thing is that we have these programs in place now and we have to keep them strong. We rolled out PTHA charities, which has done a lot for the backside. I mean, everybody's important here. I mean, in case anybody doesn't remember, when I first came around, I had 2 horses. I was stabled in the pony barn. So I have been the small trainer. I've been the same people that have been mucking their stalls and doing everything, you know, from the ground up. So I know what it is. And so anytime anybody needs anything, the first thing you do is go to the PTHA office and they're going to help you. They're going to put you in the right direction of where you can get assistance on any level.
Thank you. Sir, I'll get back to you in a second. Let this gentleman go. Okay.
We're around the big track listening to people, watching John and our president together. Is John, is he for the president? Is he gonna do the president steal everything that he's trying to sue everybody? What are you gonna do for us? And if you're all for him, you're not gonna get in.
Well, I appreciate that question. Unfortunately, I'm for the horseman. I speak for myself, right? I'm transparent. I listen, I'm available and I'm successful. My ideas are my ideas. I don't speak for anybody and I don't ask anybody to speak for me. So what are we going to do? What is my plan? Again, so we need to grow. We need to look at alternative revenue sources. So we base our whole business on handle. And I know that there's a lot of statistics that then, right? Our purses are virtually 100% funded from slot machines. Virtually 100% funded from slot machines. Here's what makes the situation worse, right? It's not just slot machines, it's slot machines in one building. We better hope to God nothing happens to that building across the street, right? Because we're talking about what we're going to do, how we're going to operate, who's going to sue who. Nobody's going to sue anybody, right? Because we're all going to be out of business. That is one of the most important issues that we have to deal with. So this is going to be a long answer. And listen, I don't care. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to answer these questions because these are questions that are going to determine the future of our business, our livelihood. Right? We can pretend everything is fine. We can pretend everything's fine. We have a lot of challenges in front of us. We've been operating a business for 150 years the same way. That's a reality, right? We wonder why handle is down. This is not a surprise. I got news for you. You're never going to get the handle to where it used to be. Never.
Okay,
Right?
I'm going to cut you short only for this. You can stay here until midnight and have these.
And I will.
conversation,
Yeah.
But I want to ensure that everyone gets an opportunity to ask. I think Chuck was first. Am I right?
Yes, quick question. I know the president does elect a backstretch committee, and Kate, you being the vice president, what was their findings last year and any type of improvements over the last couple of years that were brought to your attention or the board?
As far as the backstretch committee?
Yeah, I guess the committee meeting with the backstretch people.
I was not actually in those meetings, so that probably was directed, you know, Jeff, our executive director, actually handles most of those meetings. So usually they are part of what he does, and that's when he would bring it to the board and we would discuss whatever problems there were and how we are going to go about fixing it, whether it's like improvements to the rec hall or things like that.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the Kate. You know, she's the vice president, and it seems that her platform is the horseman first. Will you fight to continue year round so that the horsemen, us horsemen, can continue to run up the business with having stability at one racetrack?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we continue to keep our dates. And in response to the whole thing about the days that we race, I know that Mondays and Tuesdays are our number one days. Those are the best days that we have as far as our simulcast handle. And I think we have to have some Saturdays to encourage people to be back into the game, some fans. I know it's a terrible day as far as handle goes, but it's kind of the price we have to pay to like get some interest. But as far as the circuit racing, I think is that what you're asking about, the days and everything? I think they need to come to us. Parks is here to stay. Parks is doing well. If there's going to be any kind of circuit, the circuit's going to be coming to us.
Thank you. Yes, go.
This would be a question for both candidates. What do you think that your connections with management and how that would improve racing? And yeah, that's pretty much it. How your connections with management would improve racing?
Well, I think over the years, I've had a decent relationship with management. I've been there. We've had to talk to legislators. So we've all been fighting the same fight. We want to have good racing. We want to have good race dates. So as far as my personal relationship with management, I think it's been a good one in the past. And I hope that we can restore the damage that's been done, over the recent months.
Thank you. Yes.
Question for,
For both
Hang on.
candidates, I believe. That was for both candidates.
Oh, okay. Wait.
I like to believe I have a good relationship with management. I mean, Comcast just invested $500,000 to build out fiber on the backside. They paid management $30,000 for the privilege of investing $500,000 into our facility. They also are going to pay management 7% of all revenues. When I met with Joe Wilson about this, Joe told me he's tried that before. Didn't work. He's talked to Comcast, right? I made 3 calls. Not that I'm the smartest guy in the world, but this is my line of business. So when we talk about ideas, I want to talk about things that I've done, right? Now, important question. I don't know, Kate, if you sat down with Eric Hauser, but I've had several meetings with Eric Hauser. And we were talking about handle, we're talking about revenue, we're talking about days that we race. And I asked Eric a very important question. I said, Eric, what's your pull-through revenue? What's your pull-through revenue? For those of you that do not know what pull-through revenue is, it is when somebody goes to the racetrack and then they walk across the street and have dinner or put $1 in a slot machine. Those people that would be over to the casino that wouldn't be there except for the fact that they came to Parks. You know what Eric's response was? I don't know. So while we all have great ideas, we have to change the conversations. Communication is not about what we say. It's about what people hear. If we are speaking a different language than a CEO or a CIO or a COO would speak, they're never going to hear us. That is one of the advantages I think I bring to the table. This is about finding collective ideas. Again, I said on a podcast, we can find solutions that doesn't require one party to lose. I do that all of the time. That's my business. It's to go in and right? I'm a sales guy. That's what I do. I sell shit. And I have to go in and I have to create a win-win scenario. If we're looking for somebody to lose, we're going to be on the short end of the stick. So hopefully I answered the question.
Thank you.
Hi, a question for both candidates. We are all pretty much on the same page here when we attend sales, racing, meetings out of state, and we get the remarks about parks. In one sentence from each of you, what is your campaign message to help us be optimistic, and how are you seeing it?
Okay, I'll let you go first.
All right, I just want to have clarity for the question. You want to know what our campaign message is in terms of parks? And
Yes, please, because we want the black eye to get slab of meat on it so it goes away.
Well, I say, whenever anybody says anything to me about parks, I say Parks has a really good program, not only from the breeder side, but from the owner side. Everybody can win at Parks. It's a competitive racetrack, but we have so many great benefits on top of it. It's a win-win. It's the best in the Mid-Atlantic region. So that's what I would say to that.
John?
I would say that the industry is under pressure. I would say the industry is under pressure. And I would say that at the end of the day, right, when two entities or organizations or multiple organizations, right, are working together in conjunction, obviously everybody is going to try to represent their own best interest. Here is why I'm optimistic. When we talk about handle and decline
Hang on
and
just 1 second. Does that answer your question?
It does, just 1 second.
Okay.
you got it.
Yeah.
This
Yes,
is,
sir.
oh,
I'll get back to you in a second.
Now, you said you were working with Joe, this is for John, I'm sorry. You said you were working with Joe Wilson to put cable in the backside. Did you receive like a kickback or anything for helping with
No.
that?
No, as a matter of fact, right, as a matter of fact, I do a lot of consulting work in the technology industry, right? So you happen to work with people. I know people, right? I know people at Comcast. I spent God knows amount of time at Verizon, right? So I was able to reach out to people that I know, right? People that obviously the team that supports parks, right? Greenwood Management, right? To bring in a special program. They call it a multi-dwelling unit program, right? That can bring in services obviously to residential units. The answer to your question, not a dime. Not a dime.
Thank you. Daniel?
yes, this is a question for both candidates. What's your vision in the next 3 years?
You want to go first?
What,
You go
what,
first this
what,
time, John.
Yeah. My vision in the next 3 years. So let's start with growth, right? Over the next 3 years, we are going to have to look for alternative sources of revenue, right? Again, that's not uncommon in any business. And let me tell you why I believe that we can do so. There's some interesting statistics, very interesting statistics. Handles down, attendance is down. Yeah, right. Industry's going to shit. No, it's not. The Kentucky Derby in 2025, right, this past year, had a peak viewership of over 21 million people. That is up. That's the highest viewership they have ever had. Okay, big event. People turn in. Breeders' Cup, up in viewership, right? Fox Sports just released their viewership on their racing program. They hit 500,000 households in a weekend. That surpasses NHL, right? That surpasses NHL viewership on TNT, right? What does that tell me? What does that tell me as a business person? That tells me that there's interest, that there's excitement. And you know what that tells me as a salesperson, right? Somebody has interest. I'm coming for your money, right? How do we convert? Those are the conversations that we have to have. How do we convert? How do we convert interest into action, right? How do we generate advertising dollars? Here's a question. Who knows, right? Thank you, Bruce Casello, wherever you are. Who knows how many households Let's Go Racing hits in a weekend? Somebody want to guess? Today, right? No, right? Let's Go Racing, Parks. Now, I'm not talking to YouTube. I'm talking about on TV. Yeah. Yeah, it's 35,000. 35,000. How much advertising dollars do we get from that?
almost nothing. Is that not a revenue source? Is there nobody that wants to reach 35,000 households in a weekend? Really? We need to rethink how we go to market. We need to rethink how we communicate. We need to rethink how we do business. And to further answer that question, when we talk about challenges, it's a different world today. People communicate differently. So let's talk about Handle for a second.
Okay, but hang on one second. We have to get an equal time.
Yep,
I appreciate
go
it.
ahead.
Please.
Someone want to ask that question again? I'm more than happy to answer that.
I think, first of all, I think we continue to work with the Equine Coalition, and we really need to do a ride share with Greg Newell on the way up to Harrisburg. So we need to really work on that. I think that's the number one thing that we're going to be continuing to work on. I do think we do have to try to encourage the fan base to come back. That's going to take a lot of work, and that's going to be the PTHA's work, because it's not going to be Frontside. They're not going to be doing it. We're going to have to be doing that. And what was the second you were asking as far as the question?
What your vision?
Yeah, so that's the extent of my vision, is really the fan base, continue the programs that we have, but we've got to get the fan base in here. And I think that we had a lot of great ideas in here today that I would really like to see actually roll out instead of just talking about them. I'm kind of more of an action kind of person. So I think those ideas were fantastic. And I do think there's a lot to be said about networking with our community. I think that's a really big, important part of bringing people to the races. And eventually they're going to turn into owners. They're going to turn into people that are going to enjoy coming to racing. And on that level, I think that there's more to our industry than just mucking the stalls and being trainers. And we need to get people understanding that we have a lot of jobs back here. I've talked about that for a long time, about job fairs involving our PTHA into that as well. So those are all things that I've been kind of visualizing for a while. So
Thank you. Sir, oh,
Follow up.
oh,
What other avenues does Parks have to make money besides just our handle
Yeah.
for both of you guys?
You want to take that first?
no, go ahead.
Yeah. Handle is interesting, right? And technology has changed. So for those of you who are not aware, there's really three categories of handle. Live wagering, which we get our highest percentage of. I say we, it's us in Greenwood. We had 17%. By the way, that roughly comprises about 2% of everything that's bet at parks. We then have what we call signal in. That's where when people are at parks and they're betting on other racetracks. That is roughly about 13% of what we take in. The problem with those two categories is that they're tied together, right? That whether you're betting live, right, on a race at track, a race at parks, or whether you're betting on another racetrack, you've got to be sitting at parks. Here's the problem. The third category that we get the most amount of revenue on is live wagering. We get 17%. Our cut of that is roughly a third. Now, it's less than that, but contractually, right? Times have changed. Somebody could be on the apron at parks placing a wager on FanDuel. So it's great that we talk about audience, and there's reasons why we need to get people out. But if we don't understand how we make money, if we don't understand how technology works and how revenue streams come in, it doesn't make a difference. It's just platitude. We have to understand the facts, and we have to make decisions based on the facts. You asked a question, Danny, how do we get other revenue? I mentioned advertising, right? We hit 35,000 households, right? We have, quite honestly, right, you know, a digital presence that's non-existent. Who gets paid, right? Do influencers get paid from YouTube, right? Do they get paid from Instagram, right? Do they get paid from Facebook? Yeah, absolutely, right? Our viewership, our interest is expanding. Our revenues are decreasing. That's going to take real answers, right? Real solutions based on fact, not and I love the idea, bring in a food truck. All right? That's not the answer. That's not the answer.
Kate?
Well, I think you summed it up. I mean, you were very good with all the statistics, and I think that's really important. And back to the question, can you ask it again? And right now, I think we just have to continue to grow our business because management has a big effect on what we do. And that's really all I can say right now.
I have a follow-up right to that, Danny, because there's one other thing that we can do. I can't sit down. Right? I talk loud, but here's the thing. Right? I talk to you about handling what we make off of 85% of what's bet at parks, right? We make 1 penny on the dollar, a little more than 1 penny on the dollar. When somebody walks across the casino and puts $1 in the slot machine, how much do we make off that? Does anybody know? 9%. 12% is a daily tax. I understand that, but I'm talking about the horseman in general, right? No, so you're right. I'm talking about what's contributed to horseman in general, right? 12%, 9%. I'll take your 9%. Would you rather have 9 cents on a dollar or 1.5 cents on the dollar? So when we talk about how we grow our business, the truth of the matter is we need to be better partners to Greenwood. I would rather have 1,000 people come in and sit in that slot there, right? Sit and play slot machines than 1,000 people placing a wager. I don't know. I just want to make more money. I just want to make more money. Because when we make more money, guess what? We thrive, right? And we're not running around with our hand out. And oh, by the way, you think if we're putting people in seats at slot machines, you think there's going to be an antagonistic relationship with the casino? In that conversation that I had with Eric, you know what Eric pointed out? We bring in concerts, right? We bring in shows. How much money do they make off of a concert? 0. Why do they do that? To bring in an audience, right? So more people eat, so more people spend. So if we're going to just focus on handling, right? Guess what? We got a long road to go. Long road. Times have changed. I'm sorry. I apologize. The 8-track is no longer, right, a thing.
Thank you, John. Well, we're going to wrap up here. We have a time limit on this, but I'm going to permit the last question.
Sure. We're gonna give Kate just a little bit of chance, John, there. And the question would be, right now my board meeting that I used to chair is going on. And if you looked at the agenda, you'll see that there's a whole committee list. And it's not run by the president. I rarely spoke, and there are lots of committees, and that's how it was functioning. If you had your chance, what committees, based on all the great feedback, what are a couple committees that you'd like to see set up with the board members and the PTHA members you think would help move this whole agenda forward?
Well, I think I love the think tank that we had up here today. And I think that a lot of these ideas could be rolled out. And while it's not going to increase handle, I totally agree with that, but it's going to increase fan base. And at the end of the day, a lot of our fan base is aging out and they aren't betting the same. They aren't coming to the races. So it is really important to get those people involved. And one of the things that I had talked about before, not here, but within the breeders, talking to breeders, is that I think that there's a lot that we could do to enhance our fan base, piggybacking on the breeders. In the spring, there's nothing better than seeing a little baby romping around with the mare out in the field. And we've got the Triple Crown Trail. So these are all things that I think that going forward, you can encourage people to get interested in horse racing again. Because let's face it, there's a lot of sports out there that they could be betting on. And there's a lot of sports that are just bombarding you. So of course, we're taking a back seat. We have to get front and center again and be more the important sport that people want to get involved in. Because at the end of the day, the horse is a very healing animal, whether you watch it running around with its mommy out in the field or you're watching it across the wire. So I think we need to bring that back to people. And I think bringing that back to people is going to get fan base and keep this generation of energy going.
In a sales world, we talk about conversion. How do you get somebody, how do you convert somebody into a sale? How do you convert somebody into a customer? We also talk about engagement. What are the things that we do from an engagement standpoint, right? Engagement doesn't always transfer to conversion, but you have to start with engagement. There's a lot of things that we can do. Who's heard of gamification? Has anybody heard of gamification, right? That's where we take, digital gaming, right? Well, let me to get engagement. Once we have people engaged, then we start looking at conversion, right? And it's not just what you bet, right? It's what you spend, what advertising dollars, how do we license, right? You think the NFL gives a shit if anybody even showed up to a game? Absolutely not. NASCAR, where does the money from NASCAR come from? It comes from sponsorships, right? When's the last time, right, you sponsor a car? Who the hell would want to sponsor a horse, right? We take in virtually nothing, right? Nothing from a donations. And Turning for Home is a great program. It's a great program. I can adopt a freaking seal from Antarctica at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Right? Or an elephant from Namibia, wherever. But where is our opportunity to engage the public on sponsoring a horse? I say this a million times. I know people that don't like dogs. Jeff Matty, where are you? Right? You a fan of dogs? Yeah, there you go. I know people that don't like cats. Right? Quite honestly, I'm not a big cat guy. But I've never met anybody in my life that doesn't like a horse. Never. How do we capitalize on that? That's the question.
Thank you. All right. But I'm going to let your son, you've had enough questions for the day. You know that? I'm going to let your son because he's going to take it second fiddle to you.
This one would be for John. I love the idea of having internet in the backstretch because we have a like a smart TV in our office, and before the when the races are running, I set up the TV, let the grooms watch it so they know when to go up. What would be the plan for giving the internet to the trainers and the people of the backstretch, and how much do you think it would cost?
Yeah, so when Comcast built in, right, they built in, they invested their money, right? There are some conversations with the board to do something for backstretch owners, right? I'm a big believer. Listen, technology is my business. I'm a big believer, right, in the democracy that internet brings to the table, right? It's education, it's power, it's information, right? So when we talk about costs, right, aside from the people who live on the backside, the backstretch workers, right, which is part of a board conversation, Comcast not only brought in fiber to light up the backstretch, but they also put modems in the barns, right? Unfortunately for trainers at this point, right, it is a subscription, but it's available for you, right, where it wasn't before, right? So at the end of the day, right, there's a lot of other services and so forth that Comcast can also bring to the table. But when you're looking at essentially what we call broadband, right, those rates are, you know, depending upon the bandwidth that you want to buy, they could be anywhere from $50 to $150 if we're talking trainers, right, for that service.
That'd be per month.
Yeah, I'm not Comcast, right? I know those guys. And some days
You're assigned.
What?
You're assigned. Okay. Well, let me comment. Let me conclude our session today by commenting on how impressed I have been not only by the subject matter and the candidate's wealth of knowledge, but the pure civility that you all exhibited today in this meeting. I really appreciate it, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to have served you all today. Thank you. The very best of luck to all of you in your campaigns.